Dear listeners, thank you for your incredible support in helping our channel grow. We're aiming for 1,000 subscribers, so please support us by subscribing and helping us reach this milestone. Now let's start the story. Present, Jens, in the equipment room. I watch with great interest and a huge sense of nostalgia as Ivan prepares the recon cookies. It reminds me not just of Ben, but of basic training in the National Guard and then the Marines. Wow, that part of my life seems a lifetime behind me. How the hell did I get so old so fast? I touch the corners of my eyes and realize I have the beginnings of the dreaded crow's feet. Will Ben still love this old woman when I finally meet him again? Ivan's happily humming a Russian song as he takes 2 tablespoons of water, half the hot cocoa powder, half of the peanut butter, most of the coffee creamer, and a whole packet of sugar. He mixes it all up very well, takes a little taste, and declares, "This might be best recon cookie ever." Uncle Ben would be proud of me. He puts everything between 2 crackers, brings it over to me, and Mother Hen Maria cautions, "Jens, just a little taste." I take a taste, my stomach growls, and I want to devour the whole damn cookie. It's so damn good. Damn. It's just like what Ben used to make, and a huge wave of sadness washes over me as I compliment the chef. "Ivan, I am proud of you, and I know Uncle Ben would be very proud of you. I'm so glad you remembered to include the special ingredient." He finishes eating the rest of our recon cookie while I look on longingly for more. Then he begins to make more for everyone else. He finishes the next one and gives one to Liz, makes one more and gives it to Bernie. For some strange reason, he is giggling like crazy as he makes Maria's, then hands it to her with a very mischievous look on his face. Present, Liz, in the equipment room. Ivan makes a big production out of bringing me my recon cookie on a little platter. I taste it, and I'm incredibly impressed. "This is really good, Ivan. Thank you." He makes the same production, bringing Bernie's his treat. Bernie tastes it and adds, "Heck, I always threw away those parts of the MRE. I guess I now know what to do with them." He has a mischievous look on his face and is giggling the whole time. He makes one for Maria. He takes it to her, not on the platter, but on an old piece of foil. She takes one taste of it, spits it out, and yells. Present, Maria, in the equipment room. Everyone is talking about how their recon cookies are so good, and even though Ivan is giggling like crazy as he makes mine, I'm really looking forward to a recon cookie. I want to see how close it is to the Ranger cookies we made in the Army. I taste mine, and what the hell? It tastes like shit, a combination of salt and Tabasco. I spit it out and gripe, "This is terrible. What did you do to it?" Ivan giggles as he answers, "Because you are a lady who use many bad words. I use salt in place of sugar for your cookie, and also add rest of Tabasco. Too bad I not have nasty soap, or I would use it. Then you would get mouth washed out like you deserve." Everyone laughs. It's embarrassing as hell. Damn, I can't believe I was pranked by a toddler. I bet he learned it from his old fart father. I want to spank the hell out of him and make him stand in the corner for the rest of his life. I begin to do just that when Jens begins to cough and then screams, "Maria." For now, I stop my plans of punishment for the spoiled little brat and rush to my princess boss side. Present, Ben, on the way to the cabin. Hell, after being out of this altitude for what seems like several lifetimes, I am amazed I can still run up here. But it's taking a hell of a toll on me as I am sucking wind like crazy and can barely keep up an easy pace. My hands are shaking so badly if I had to fire a weapon, I would surely miss. What a lousy admission for a sniper to have to make. I look over at Destiny, and I'm shocked because she doesn't seem to be having any problems. I bitch like hell. "What the hell are you, some sort of robot?" She laughs, and I swear the trees laugh with her. Perhaps it's just my oxygen-deprived state. Then she gently instructs me, running is not just physical fitness. It is also mental fitness and control. If I chose, I could let my mind experience the same discomforts you are feeling now. It can't be that simple, so I challenge. "Yeah, like hell it is. I bet your pack is lighter than mine." Destiny laughs again. The trees once again seem to form a chorus with her and offers, "I will gladly switch packs with you." Looking for any reason to stop and rest without losing face to this hippie chick. I agree, you're on, Twisted Sister. We stop. She takes off her pack, and I help her on with mine. She adjusts the straps for her smaller frame and laughs as she taunts, "This is much lighter than mine." I wonder what the hell she's talking about until I pick her pack up, and son of a bitch, it's heavier than hell. I vociferously complain, "What the hell do you have in here, Rox?" She laughs and confirms for me, "Of course I do. I did it on purpose because I knew you would blame it on the packs and want to switch packs. Shall we stop and unload some of them?" How the hell did she know this was going to happen? There's no way I'm going to be outdone by this hippie chick, so I declare, "Hell no, the extra weight is just fine with me." As we begin to run, at a pace even slower than before because of her damn rock-filled pack, Destiny reminds me, "Do you remember the time when you easily won the Leadville 100-mile race with Jennifer? What were you thinking about then?" I think back to my first meeting with Jens and present Maria in the equipment room. My princess boss loses consciousness again, so we all rush to her side. Liz looks at her, pulls back her eyelids, and comes up with a crazy suggestion. I think she's connected to Ben again. I get ready to call this as more bullshit when the little brat Ivan surprises us by saying, yes, Donald Duckson lady and Unca Ben share thoughts of good times. We all give Ivan a flabbergasted look and Liz questions, Ivan, how do you know this fact? He smiles at us and explains with the innocence of childhood, I feel it also and too. Present, Jens, in the equipment room. This is so nice, and it finally happens again after such a long drought. I connect with Ben again. OMG, he's remembering when we first met and ran the Leadville 100 together. Yeah, the very successful start of my mission to capture Ben's heart. Wait, he's running with someone. Know something? OMG, it's a wolf running beside him. The connection is so nice and reassuring. Hell, it seems like it's been a lifetime since we connected, but then the connection is suddenly gone. I wake up and smile at Liz and Maria. Present, Ben, on the way to the cabin. What I see and feel when I connect again to Jens forces me to pause. Destiny stops and questions, Ben, what did you see and why did you stop? I glare at her and demand, I thought you already knew everything. After a short pause to gather my wits, I explain, Jens has been seriously wounded and it pisses me off. Destiny gives me an annoyed look, but probes, when you were connected to her, how did you feel? I think for a moment and admit, I felt Jens. Then I look down, fight back the tears and continue, and the love that she still has for me. I quickly add, a love that I can never satisfy because I can never give her the children she wants and deserves. Destiny smiles at me and agrees, but adds another question, that is only partially true. Yes, you felt her, but what is more important is what you didn't feel. You didn't feel yourself running. Now how did she feel? I shrug my shoulders and try to lie. Shit, she's a woman. How the hell am I supposed to know how any woman feels? Destiny stamps her foot, which reminds me the hell of Jens, and threatens, I should kick your butt. Are you telling me you are so dense and dumb you couldn't feel the warmth and love you gave her by being connected to her? I ignore the threat and give my version of the facts. Hell, she doesn't need me. I can't give her the baby she wants. Destiny begins to jump around, kick the shit out of rocks, sticks and pine cones, then swears, you are one hard-headed son of a bitch, and one of these days I am going to kick you, but so hard you won't be able to sit down for a week. Jennifer needs you more now than ever, and we need to get to the cabin sooner than later. Now I'm going to run my fastest, and the only way you will keep up with me is if you connect to her. I again doubt her word and taunt, like you could run faster than me. Destiny looks over her shoulder, takes off like her, but is on fire, and yells, then try to keep up with me without being connected to her. I swear, you bitch. When I catch you, I'm going to kick you, but because you've been holding back. I try to catch her, but even at my fastest pace, she's pulling ahead, and then she yells, you can't keep up with me unless you are connected to her. I hate to do it, but I decide to give it a try. I begin to think again about the Leadville 100, and the next thing I know. Present, Jens, in the equipment room. I am so happy and content as I tell Maria and Liz. Ben has some help coming with him. Liz gives me her normal quizzical look and asks, who's he bringing? Maria raises one eyebrow in obvious doubt, but adds, I hope it's an army. I try to explain to them, but do an inadequate job. It's sort of like a wolf, but also like a lady. A lady combined with one of the most beautiful wolves I have ever seen. Now Liz gives me the same crazy look that Maria did, and then, present, Liz, in the equipment room. Jens's eyes roll back. She becomes unconscious again, and I can only assume Jens has reconnected to Ben because she's smiling and looks more content than I have seen her in months. I get a crazy idea, look at Maria and ask, Maria, can the morphine you're giving Jens cause the hallucination about the wolf? Maria scratches her head, thinks for a few moments, and answers, well, I suppose it could, but a hallucination about a wolf? I would think something else would have to trigger that. Bernie adds some speculation. Perhaps it's some sort of primal response since Jens is the alpha female in the group. We are still baffled by the whole wolf that looks sort of like a lady when Ivan shocks us as he says, present, Ben, at the cabin. I automatically sense possible danger, stop and realize we're at the defense perimeter of the cabin. Then I wonder how the hell we got here so fast since I'm not even tired. Destiny annoyingly questions, Ben, why did we stop? I glance to the left, then to the right. I can still sense the perimeter warning system in both directions and answer, Jens added a perimeter security system to the cabin. If we cross this threshold, we could trigger it. If the greenies have discovered the system and have tied into it, then they will immediately know our location. She appears to go into a short trance, then states, Ben, they haven't discovered it, let alone connected into it. I'm not sure about her abilities, so I respond, well, if you're wrong, this is going to be a very short rescue. I hold my breath as we step across the boundary, then I give a silent prayer of thanks that Destiny's feeling is right. She asks, what's next? I reply, the same as any mission. First reconnaissance, then we need to recover some additional supplies. We slowly and carefully work our way toward the cabin, find the perfect place on the hill behind the cabin to reconnoiter the AO and drop down to the ground. There's enough moonlight that I can scan the area with my monocular and comment. This is unusual. It looks like most of the troops have dug foxholes and are facing one main tent. However, I do see a few that are tending to other duties. Destiny takes another moment. As I look at her, she appears to be in another trance, then explains, that's because all the retired Marines who came to help Jennifer are being held prisoner in the tent, including Jack and his wife Masha. I swear that SOB Mike. Locking up my friends just to get to me. I'm going to kill his butt. I continue to scan, move the monocular to the left, and see some equipment working at what used to be the garage and wonder aloud. What the hell happened to the garage? Destiny sadly answers, Ben, I didn't want to give you this bad news, but the terrors destroyed it. It takes all I can do to keep from going ballistic, as I swear, damn. My truck and my Cobra were in there. Destiny sadly adds, not anymore, they are destroyed. I am pissed as hell, make up my mind and command. Come on, it's time for us to pick up some other weapons. Destiny orders, give me my pack so I can get my bow out. We switch packs. I watch as she opens her pack, dumps out 5 damn big rocks, and then pulls out a bow and a quiver full of arrows. I question, what the hell are you going to do with those? Go all Indian on the greenies? She begins to adjust the compound bow and answers, well, first I need to increase the draw weight of this bow to 125 pounds. We will need it for what I have planned next. Then she explains what sort of weapons she wants and how she's going to use them. I like the hell out of her idea, but decide to add a few ideas of my own. We head off to one of my many weapons caches. Present, Jack, in prison at the cabin. I have a major case of indigestion after eating that damn cold hot dog MRE. I motion for Linus and Masha to come closer. Make sure no one is close enough to hear, and I explain, I've been thinking about all that's gone on at the cabin, and I am beginning to wonder if Mike has been behind all the attacks on the cabin. Masha gives me her skeptical look, but asks, Jack, do you think he would go to this extent just to capture Ben again? I scan to make sure we're not overheard and continue. Hell, I wouldn't put anything past that scumsucker. I know the narcotic lord has deep pockets, and I know that Megan hates Jennifer, but this feels like it's above and beyond that level of hate. Linus gives me an incredulous look and scoffs. Jack, that's hard to believe. Look at all the good men who were killed during this operation. I give Linus and Masha a tidbit of information about Mike they might not know. Yeah, with the way Mike thinks, they are just collateral damage. I know because I've seen it before. The discussion terminates when we hear an explosion outside, but close to the tent. The lights activate, and a siren begins to sound. Masha correctly informs us, Jack, I believe that was a flashbang device. Then there's a hell of a bigger explosion, which rattles the ground like a minor earthquake. The tent supports rattle, and Linus says, well, that sure as hell wasn't a flashbang. That's high-power ordnance. There's another big explosion. This one is followed by yelling and swearing. The lights go off. I grin, look at Masha and Linus, then announce, that's my Ben announcing his arrival. Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at his hotel. I get a phone call that wakes me out of a sound sleep and hopefully question, did you capture the scumsucker yet? In the background of the call, I hear the sound of explosions. It sounds like a war zone as the captain states, hell no. Someone is blowing the hell out of us with flashbangs and what we can only assume to be dynamite. Hell, on the third salvo they blew the hell out of the generators. I hopefully ask, well, did you send some patrols out to capture him? The captain again disappoints me, hell no sir. Every time we try to move out, he drops dynamite in my men's path and detonates it. We've fallen back to the foxholes for protection. I swear, Captain, I don't care what it takes. I want his butt. Present, Mira and Alex, restrained at the cache. Our auditory units detect multiple explosions, some insignificant and others very significant. Alexei smiles and states, I would suggest that your Ben has arrived, so to say, with a bang. I become aroused, shed my handcuffs immediately, and pose an interrogatory. Perhaps I should go and meet him? Alexei wisely advises, Mira, I believe if we step outside this tent we will place ourselves in mortal danger. I need to remind you of the special forces waiting for the Marines to exit their detention area. My auditory units continue to be assailed by continued explosions and comment. I think that my Ben is preparing to fight a protracted battle. Alexei begins to respond when the lights in the tent are extinguished until a battery-operated backup light system actuates. I do peer outside the tent and notate as something appears to strike the ground. Then there is the sound of weapons fire, and it detonates. I am baffled at how my Ben is able to direct his blasts with such accuracy. Present, Stacy and Samantha, at the cabin. We're observing as the excavation equipment begins to tunnel down at the site of the old garage after first clearing some wreckage out of the way. I question the engineer, are those the remains of some vehicles? He replies, yes, Miss Summers. It appears that one was a nice Dodge truck and the other was at one time a beautiful Cobra. It's a shame, but when the terrors destroyed the garage, they destroyed the vehicles. I came up with an idea for future action and request. I would like the remains of both vehicles salvaged. Perhaps there is still some worth to them. He gives some orders to his crew and answers, we will load them on a flatbed truck and transport them to wherever you want. Now on to the major question, how long until we reach the tunnels? Like a typical engineer, he hedges his reply, we can't be sure, it could be hours or days. I don't like the answer, get pissed off and confront him. For what the hell I'm paying you, it had better not be days. Time is of the essence, I want this done in hours. Then all hell break loose, but thankfully it's not very close to us. I watch as there are flashbangs and bigger explosions that are tearing the scumsucker special forces a new one. Hell, they even blow out of the generators. Samantha looks at me and asks. I ask, Stacy, do you think that is Ben? She smiles and answers, it sure as hell is. Then she whoops, look at that. I watch, and as a patrol of special forces try to advance up the hill, something big blows up in front of them. I comment, Stacy, it doesn't look like he's trying to kill anyone. Stacy smiles and confirms, Samantha, you're right. But he sure as hell is giving them the inferno they deserve. Then the engineer warns, Ms. Summers, if those get any closer to us, we will need to stop and take cover. Stacy gets in the engineer's face and threatens, if you stop now, this is the last job you will ever get. I know who is attacking us. He owns this cabin site, and he's not interested in us. He's interested in harassing the special forces. So keep working. I sadly state, I wish I had my new cameras to document this. Stacy agrees and then adds, I do too, because Mike is going to spin this in a very negative way for Ben. Present, Ben, at the cabin. Hell, this is too much fun. Destiny ties either flashbangs or a half stick of dynamite to her arrows and then lobs them precisely where they needed to go. The flashbangs explode when their time is up, but the dynamite I simply shoot and detonate. After the first flashbang attack, the lights come on and give us a better look at potential targets. Added to that, an annoying siren comes on, so we blow the hell out of the Special Forces generators. This kills the damn lights and siren. Together as a team, we have created major mayhem. However, the Special Forces keep trying to advance up the hill, so we drop a half stick of dynamite in front of them, and I detonate it, which sends their greenie butts running for cover. Finally, they've had enough and retreat to the many foxholes facing the prisoner tent. I look at Destiny and stated, we need to get the hell out of here before they man up. She compliments our effort and says, this was the picture-perfect first guerrilla warfare attack. Since this is your property, you know the best place to hide. I think for a few moments, make a decision and order, follow me. She wisely suggests, first, we need to cover our tracks. To show my current state of mind, I just have to ask a stupid question. Why the hell do we need to do that? She goes into the trance, looks again, and answers, they have a tracker who could follow us. As we leave the area, we obliterate our tracks. Then I hear a whirring noise that, screw me. I recognize the source of the noise from the sandbox and hate the hell out of them. We need to get to some of my supplies like yesterday, otherwise we're as good as dead. Present, Zarika and Yasmin escape. Wearing my candy striper outfit, and with Yasmin in the nurse's uniform, we slip out of the hospital unrecognized. Once outside, I look at Yasmin and question, how are we supposed to get back to the cabin? She reaches in her pocket, holds up some keys and answers, I think the nurse has a car. I take the keys from her and notice there is one of the automatic lock thingies. I press the button on it. We hear a beep and begin to move toward the sound. Yasmin requests, press it again. I do as she asks and we locate the car. It is an ugly-looking boxy van with fake wood on the sides. Yasmin complains, I should have known she would drive a boring car. I laugh, agree and add, yes, this car is almost as ugly as she is. Yasmin foolishly requests, I want to drive. I still have the keys and deny her request. Yasmin, you are still recovering and under the influence of medication, so I will drive. I use the automatic lock thingy to unlock the doors. Yasmin checks the back seat and says, hey, there are other clothes in here that are closer to my size. I look at them. They appear to be some sort of costume with a very short skirt and suggest they must be for her child. Yasmin giggles and insults the bad nurse. I didn't believe that any man would make that fat cow nurse pregnant. I giggle, start the car, put it in gear, press the accelerator, and realize it's much harder driving a car in the city than driving our truck, which was in the desert. Yasmin has changed into the costume, comes up front and complains, Zarika, did you forget how to drive? I take one smell of her, complain and answer, Yasmin, those clothes smell bad. I have not forgotten how to drive, but this is different than driving our truck. Yasmin counters, I do not care how the clothes smell, they are better than the fat cow nurse's clothes. Besides, this short skirt shows off my beautiful legs. I remind her, is that something you would say in front of our future husband, Ben? She sticks out her tongue at me. I exit the parking lot without too much damage, pull onto the street, and then I realize something bad. Present, Tom, Byron, and Inga. It's raining hell on the narcotic lord. Because the AO has changed, I pull my sidearm, my favorite weapon, as we begin to advance through the compound. We don't get very far when some scumsuckers begin to fire at us from one of the buildings. We take cover. I quickly empty one mag into the windows and yell, I'm out, cover me. Inga replies, Tom, you need to reload your sidearm and then switch to your rifle. Doh, that was my plan. I reload my pistol, pull up my rifle, and we begin to return fire. Byron calms and questions, Tom, what the hell is going on? I rudely reply, Doh, there's a crapload of people in the building that have us pinned down. How about some covering fire for us? The team leader gets on his high horse and interrupts, Tom, just where the hell are you that you need covering fire? Don't tell me you entered the compound without us. I look at Inga, laugh and reply, okay, I won't tell you. Then I continue firing on the building. Inga announces, Tom, I'm out, watch my butt. Shit, won't she ever get this right? I complain, that's Watcher 6. The team leader comes back on the comm and swears, you old scumsucker. You had this planned all along. I'm surprised as hell when Inga lends her support. Of course we did. After all the mistakes you and your men made, it was the only way we could hope to complete this mission. The team leader issues a useless threat. I should fire both of you. I openly laugh at him and counter, like hell. You can't fire any of us because we don't work for you. We work for ourselves. Now shut the hell up and let us do our job. I give Inga and Byron hand signals to switch frex, and finally Byron and the other snipers begin to fire into the building from where all the bullets are coming. I smile when I see Byron take some initiative. I knew I could count on him. Flashback, Ben, wrong place. There's nothing like being in the wrong place at the right time. A crazy terror charged Jack and Masha, and it could only mean one thing. He was another suicide bomber and had them in his sights. Once a suicide bomber gets close enough to you, there is no winning because he will take you out. And he was almost close enough to Jack and Masha. They wisely turned tail and ran while I continued to provide cover fire and wished I had something with a little more punch to it than an AK. Yeah, the scumsucker must have been wearing some sort of body armor under his vest because my chest shots weren't even slowing him up. I switched tactics, got lucky with this inaccurate piece of shit AK, and hit the scumsucker in the head. He went down right as Jack and Masha stopped to grab me, and then, flashback, Masha, a new battle. Thank God the suicide bomber detonated his bomb early and was still a sufficient distance away from us that we weren't instantly fragmented. However, he was close enough that the blast flung us through the air like dolls made of rags. I noticed that Jack had grabbed Ben, and he was flying through the air with us. I watched in amazement as Ben grabbed Jack and had the sense to twist through the air. It was touching as he was trying to position himself to be a landing cushion for Jack. Because of my superior training, I started my tuck early and looked for a location to place my hands that wasn't littered with debris. Then something unfortunate happened. Flashback, Jack, a new battle. We stopped. I grabbed Ben to get his butt out of here, then all hell broke loose. The suicide bomber detonated his vest. The last thing I remembered was flying through the air, then I landed on something soft and heard an audible crack with an accompanying whoosh of air. I looked down and somehow Ben, the crazy idiot, had gotten under me and softened my landing. However, the landing cold-cocked him. I looked over and saw Masha and immediately noticed she was holding her arm in a strange way. I jumped off Ben, headed to her, and asked, Honey, what's wrong? She bravely answered, Jack, I am fine, but I just have a dislocated shoulder. You first must take care of Ben. I seriously suggested, I think we need to head back to the destroyed BTR-80 and let others know that the Chechens have breached the building. Do you think Ben is well enough to be carried? Masha looked at me as if I was crazy and replied, Jack, we can't leave him here for the Chechens will kill him. Of course you must carry him as carefully as possible back to the BTR-80. I ran back to pick Ben up, and he suddenly complained and scared the hell out of me. Flashback, Ben, a new hornet's nest. When the old fart landed on top of me, he knocked the wind out of me. I awoke as Jack came over to me, began to pick me up, and I demanded, What the hell are you doing? Jack stated, I'm taking you back to the BTR-80. Shit. Jack didn't realize what a mistake it would be if we all went back to the BTR-80. Sometimes I wonder if the old fart was getting senile. I pushed him away from me and argued, Like hell you are. Get your head out of your butt. Someone has to stay here and keep these Chechen scumsuckers from launching an attack on the rest of you. Now move me behind some cover, Leave me all your extra mags and get the hell out of here before I change my mind. Masha misunderstood and wrongly quipped. Ben, it would be painful to replace your mind, and I am not sure they have yet perfected brain transplants. What the hell? We already wasted too much time, so there was no way in hell I was going to try to explain this to her. I fired some rounds toward the Chechens to keep them from storming us. Looked over at Masha. Noticed she held her arm in a peculiar way and asked, Masha, did you break your collarbone or dislocate your arm? I fired another burst, then Jack quickly said, she dislocated her shoulder, then he started to explain about the change my mind comment. I was pissed at hell because this was taking much too long, so I yelled, get the hell out of here you two, and tell Yuri I need some help. Jack gave me his extra mags. I emptied the remainder of my current mag at the Chechens, and even hit one. Jack lovingly helped Masha up, and they finally left. I taunted, hey you Chechen scumsuckers, it's Sergeant Blaine. You may have found me, but you will never take me alive. The result of that comment reminded me of the time I shot a hornet's nest with a shotgun when I was out hunting doves. It's something that you do once in life, usually when you're a kid and don't know any better. It took 2 hours for those hornets to calm down enough that I could sneak away. I vowed to myself to never do that again. Flashback, Jack, a new battle. I felt bad as hell leaving Ben, but I did need to make sure Masha's injuries were taken care of. As we headed toward what was left of the BTR-80, we heard Ben foolishly taunt the Chechens. The scumsuckers began to fire like crazy at Ben. Masha gave me a concerned and motherly look, then ordered, Jack, I can make it to the BTR-80 myself. You must go back and assist Ben. Naturally, I began to complain, but she gave me the don't screw with me look, put her good hand over my mouth, and ordered, Jack, this is not an option. Your first priority must be to your comrade in arms. As soon as I get back to the BTR-80, I will have Yuri send some more men. Just like that, Masha turned and left me. I was struck that she was so hard-headed and independent, but she was right in this case. I headed back to Ben, took his right flank, and ducked behind some debris. He looked over at me and yelled, what the hell are you doing back here? I answered, Masha ordered me to help you. I watched his hand signals and figured out what he wanted to do. Flashback, Ben, back in the battle. I wasn't sure how long I could hold out against these scumsuckers because my taunt had gotten them pissed. So I made up my mind to go out in a blaze of glory by taking a page out of their own book by using the spray and pray technique. Then Jack showed up. Shit, with Jack here we could hold out much longer, possibly even until help arrived. I wasn't sure Jack's mind was totally in the game. Lately it had been on Masha most of the time, so I sent Jack some hand signals. He figured out what I wanted to do, then I rose up, fired off about 6 shots, and ducked behind cover. Next, Jack rose up and fired at the scumsuckers. All we needed to do was to keep the time we were exposed random, and we should be fine. Then Jack unfortunately yelled, I'm out. Shit. I complained about Jack's mind not being in the game, but where the hell was mine right now? Yeah, I'd forgotten he'd given me all his extra mags, so I grabbed one of them, slid it across the floor to him, and we were back in business. Flashback, Jens, at the military hospital. After having an okay morning with my stretches and ballet practice, I was back in my bed this afternoon and in extreme pain. Daddy was right when he called PT pain and torture, but the worst was when they took off my new camo tights. They had stuck to my burns, and I even cried a few times when they removed them. Now I was unfortunately back in one of those stupid hospital gowns with no back on them. Katie came in my room, took one look at me, and asked, how do you feel? I fought back the tears and answered, I think if I hurt any worse I will die. She smiled and answered, I have something that might cheer you up some. Then she placed some interesting-looking pink clothes on my bed. I looked at them and stated, these are clothes like the doctors wear. Are they for me? She answered, that's right. They're called scrubs, and until your burns heal more, it's probably better if you practice in these instead of your tights. So yes, they are for you. I forced a smile and tried a joke. Thank you, but do these come in camo? She laughed and asked, what is it with you in camo? You'd think you were a Marine like your father. Unfortunately, you get either pink like these or ugly green like the doctors wear. I decided I liked the pink better, then I remembered something. Thank you. I will keep the pink. Do you know what happened to my camo tights? Katie stated, I have them and will take them home and wash them for you, making sure to get out the blood stains. I once again forced a smile. Thank you for being so nice to me. Katie waved her hand, answered, and thanks for listening to my suggestions. That's a rare action for someone of your age. Now let's take a look at those point shoes. I handed her my point shoes as she said, let's see your feet. I stuck my feet out of the bed. She looked at my feet and shoes, then demanded, how old are these point shoes and what size do you wear? I shrugged my shoulders. The pain reminded me of PT and answered, I don't know. I guess I've had them a few years and I am a size 6. I gasped when Katie twisted my point shoe and snapped the shank. Now the toe dangled at a bad angle and the shoe looked like a broken stick. She said, Jennifer, These shoes were worn out years ago and should have been replaced. Didn't anyone tell you this? I answered. I asked Evelyn, a mother, about it a couple of times, but she looked at them and told me they were fine. Olga never said anything to me about it. But now that you've broken my shoes, what the heck am I supposed to wear? Katie amazed me as she explained, Jennifer, when I was with the NYCB, we had a shoe allowance and many times replaced our point shoes for each performance. The life of a point shoe is only 20 hours at the most, and the way you dance probably less than that. Now don't worry, I still have some friends in the ballet business, so let me make a call and see what we can do for you. As Katie prepared to leave the room, and I asked, Katie, is there any way I could get something for pain? She looked at her watch and explained, you are too early for your Percocet, but let me call the doctor and see what he says. So, hang in there a little bit. She left. I looked at my broken point shoe and was very sad. Losing them would be like losing an old friend. Flashback, Glenn. I picked up Evelyn and we headed to the hospital to see Jennifer. For once, Evelyn appeared to be sober. When we walked into Jennifer's room, she was looking at her point shoes with a very sad look, and Evelyn went ballistic. Young lady, what did you do to your point shoes? If you think breaking your shoes will get you out of dancing in Swan Lake, you are completely wrong. Anyone with half a brain could see that Jennifer was very upset. Jennifer glared and spat. Mother, I did not break my point shoes. Katie, my nurse, did. She told me they were worn out. Evelyn repeated her previous statement like a broken record, as if she knows what she's talking about. Jennifer yelled, you don't know what the hell you're talking about, so get the hell out of my room. Then she threw her shoe at Evelyn. I stepped in front of Evelyn and grabbed the shoe before it hit her. Evelyn had the audacity to complain, Glenn, did you see what she did? She's become an ungrateful little bitch, and I don't have to put up with this. Evelyn turned to leave, and Jennifer unwisely added fuel to the fire. No, mother. I'm the prima ballerina you've always wanted, so get used to it. Now don't let the door hit you in the fat, but on your way out of my room. As Evelyn left, I wondered if I actually preferred her when she was drunk. I walked over to Jennifer's bed and looked at her as she broke down with a heart-wrenching sob. I held out my arms. She came to the edge of the bed. I hugged her, making sure I didn't bother her burns, and asked, what's wrong with my little girl? Jennifer blubbered, Daddy, you were right. PT does stand for pain and torture. I questioned, I thought they were giving you pain medication? Jennifer informed me, they are, but it isn't time for my next pills, and the pain is unbearable. I held Jennifer until she calmed down. Then I said, well, let me go and talk to them about this. I was pissed as hell when I walked out the door. Flashback, Alexei, in the laboratory. Well, my meeting with the psychologist did not work out as I planned. Oh, I fooled him into believing I was sick, but I performed too proficiently at my task. The last thing I wanted was to spend the night here at the clinic instead of home in my bed. Mother kissed me on the cheek and consoled me. Alexei, we will check on you the first thing in the morning. Father shook his head sadly, held my hand, and offered, I am sorry, my son. Your mother and I will study our notes to see if we could have caused this problem. And as she said, we will look in on you the very first thing in the morning. They left, and I remained alone in the padded room, restrained in a straitjacket. Yes, this game had lost some of its appeal, but then I dredged a new idea from the depths of my despair. Flashback, Ira and Safia, in Israel. Safia and I left Mira at the harem horde's room and translocated to the main hallway. Safia presented a query which showed her profound lack of situational awareness. Don't you think that the clothing would be in the harem room? I annoyingly glanced at her and curtly replied, yes, the style of clothing worn by the harem women is most likely contained within. However, I for one would never wear such accoutrements. Safia continued her annoying braying. Well then, what the heck do you want to wear? I stated, I would like to find the accoutrements worn by the deceased theoretical eunuchs, or perhaps if Naomi's behemoth man was slender enough before his hormonal weight gain, then some of his accoutrements might be acceptable. Safia supplied valuable information when she recalled, I remember when he first purchased Naomi, he was normal-sized but was still larger than you. With that possibility terminated, we were only left with my primary plan, so I stated, one of the deceased theoretical eunuchs was close enough to my size so that his accoutrements should fit. Once again Safia brayed, but what about me? I shook my head at her continued misunderstanding and informed her, Safia, you were not subjected to the alimentary canal explosion, therefore a accoutrement change is not required for your corporeal self. After we negotiated a corner, we are both taken aback. Flashback, Mira, in Israel. I rapidly applied my clenched digital extremities to the harem horde's room door and proclaimed, Naomi, we must verbalize. There was a chorus of angry lowing. Go away, you witch, and leave us alone. Shove it up your butt. Bite us, bitch. I thought briefly, then replied in a manner which should achieve the results I required. Have it way your. I will attempt to resolve the behemoth man's medicinal doses without Naomi's assistance. However, if I somehow err and increase his testosterone level excessively, I will not be responsible when he returns to his former deviant behavior. My tympanic units detected a great noise of movement in the room. Then there was pounding on the door, and Naomi brayed, "Ira." I was annoyed and interrupted. "This is Mira. Please use the correct nomenclature." Naomi continued, "Mira, let me out, and I will assist you." Although I perceived victory retribution was required for the Horde's earlier comments, so I teased, "How could I now proceed with the task since I was called a witch, told to leave, advised to shove it up my butt, and finally to bite all of you?" There was a cacophony of mooing. "Mira, we are sorry. I didn't mean what I said. We made a mistake." The pounding against the door became intense, however the door was solid and the lock was strong. I smiled while silently and patiently waiting. I finally heard, "I think she really left. I can't believe you called her a witch." "Well, what about you? You told her to shove it up her butt." "Oh yeah, you can bite me. No, you can bite me." My tympanic units then detected the sounds of argumentative scuffling. I could have let it continue unabated, but decided I would rather complete my odious medicinal task, so Ira, Safia, and I could relocate to Japan. I once again applied my clenched digital extremities to the door and ordered, "All corporeal bodies other than Naomi must relocate to the posterior wall of the room." Once that has occurred, I will open the door so Naomi can assist my corporeal self. One of them mooed. "What did she say?" Naomi translated. "She said for everyone except me to get your butts to the back wall. Then she will open the door, so I can help her." Another added to the mountain of insults and demanded, "Why doesn't she speak English?" I was going to respond when Naomi brayed, "At this point, what difference does it make? Get your butts to the back wall now, so I can make sure she doesn't ruin everything for us." I waited and Naomi finally brayed, with a peculiar sound in her voice, "Mira, they are all against the back wall." However, I was seriously surprised when I opened the door. Flashback, Todd, on the island. Oh damn, did someone get the license plate of the bus that hit me? I wakened and my whole body ached. I hurt in places I didn't know could hurt, or that even existed. A hand touched my face, so I slowly opened my eyes and saw Lou, and I was in her bed. She smiled at me and gave me a huge hug. That hurt like hell. I winced. She pulled away, and then I remembered that I jumped on top of the damn Komodo dragon as it swam toward Lou. I guess I must have done something right. She hugged me again, but this time it was gentler, and not only that, it was really nice. I hugged her back. We stayed like that for a very long time. Then she got up and pointed to the corner. I looked, and there was a dead Komodo dragon. I assumed it was the one that I jumped on. She did a bunch of signs, which to be truthful I couldn't understand. I yawned, and she smiled. Then she came over and climbed into the bed with me as I promptly fell asleep. Present, Liz, in the equipment room. Maria, Bernie, and I are speculating on the origin of Yent's hallucination about the wolf, the one running with Ben. Ivan speaks, and we're shocked when he says, "Unca Ben bringing Big Bad Wolf to puff and huff and blow all bad men down." I begin to ask him how the heck he knows that when we hear Yent's wake up and also hear a series of small and some larger explosions that feel like small earthquakes. Present, Maria, in the equipment room. Yent sighs. We quickly move to her side, and I ask my princess boss, "How are you feeling?" She gives me a huge smile and says, "I feel fine now that Ben's here because he's going to take care of everything. But I'm sad that he's busy and can't stay connected to me." I smirk and skeptically give her the third degree. "Yents, what the hell are you talking about? What's all this nonsense about being connected to Ben?" She reaches over, pats my hand, and answers. Present, Yents, in the equipment room. I can plainly see from the look on her face that Maria doesn't believe that I can connect to Ben, and I'm not sure how in the hell I can convince her. So I answer Maria's question the best that I can. "Maria, I'm not exactly sure how it happens, but somehow, when Ben allows it, our two minds connect, and I can see and feel what he does. Before he went batshit crazy and took off, we were connected all the time, but since he's been gone, the connection is also gone, and I've really missed it. It's like a part of me died. Just being connected to him now has been wonderful. I feel so much better." Maria scrunches up her face and challenges. "Okay, Jens, since you know what Ben's doing now, then let me know." I smile and answer, "No problem. The small explosions you are hearing are flashbangs. The big explosions that you hear and feel are half sticks of dynamite. The wolf lady ties them to her arrows, then fires them at the target as directed by Ben. Then he shoots the explosive with his rifle, and they detonate." Maria continues being skeptical as she interrogates me like a lawyer. "First it was a wolf, and now it's a wolf lady. The next thing I know, you will tell me the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus are going to help. Jens, I think you're hallucinating." I get ready to argue when Ivan chimes in. "I would like to see Easter Bunny and Saint Nicholas, but they not fight good and well like Wolf, who is also a lady." Maria voices her disbelief in a complaint. Present, Maria, in the equipment room. I've had my fill of the bullshit connection to Ben Mumbo Jumbo. Now she even has the little brat involved in her hallucination, so I complain. Yents, now you have Ivan believing your stories about the wolf lady. Ivan gives me a dirty look, crosses his arms across his chest, and sasses. Bad lady that say many bad words. Why you bother, Ms. Donald Duxon? She not make me see Wolf who is also lady. Wolf who is also lady let me see her, and tell me no worry. We will be good and fine. I'm exasperated and can't handle much more of this, so I look at Liz and demand, Liz, what the hell is going on here? Do you think Ivan really sees this? This, wolf woman? Ivan stands up and angrily announces, bad big mouth lady. I not never tell lies. Otherwise, my mama make me stand in corner for long time. If you don't want to hear what I see, then I not talk any or more. With that, Ivan walks away, begins to mess around with something and pouts. Thank God the little brat is going to finally leave me alone. Liz comes over beside me, takes my hand, and tries an answer. Maria, I've never understood this whole Jens-Ben connection thing. However, I did some research and it's not an unheard of phenomenon. I do believe that Jens can connect to Ben. However, I have no idea how Ivan can see this. Jens, who is quickly losing her princess boss status and is headed toward Moonbat monarch status, adds her 2 cents. Guys, I'm not going crazy. Well, no crazier than I normally am. I don't think Ivan is connecting to Ben. I think it's like he describes it. The wolf lady somehow talks to Ivan. We hear a noise. Turn, look at Ivan and see he's busy doing something. Present, Ben, at the cabin. Destiny finally questions, Ben, what is that whirring noise you're so concerned about, and why do I sense someone or something is watching us? The worst of my nightmares has followed me home from the sandbox, so I answer, the scumsuckers are using a drone to track us. She's looking around like crazy and questions, how did it get here so fast? I did my homework on this years ago, so I explain, hell, the Air Force's major base for drones is Creech Air Base at Indian Springs, Nevada, just outside of Las Vegas. By car, it's a little over 700 miles. If it's one of the upgraded Reaper drones, because of its increased range and speed, they just flew it up here. I'm sure it has thermal imaging capabilities which they are using to track us. Quick, follow me. As I said, I did my homework on this and have a plan in place. Now I hope my plan will work. Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at his hotel. I finally get the phone call I've been waiting forever for from the commander at Creech Air Base, and he reports, Sir, we have a Reaper on station and have acquired your targets. This is news to me, so I question, targets? As in more than one. He immediately answers, Yes, sir. We have thermal on 2 tangos. What are your orders? I think for a moment about telling him to pull the trigger and take them out, but Ben still has intel that I need, so I decide to forego this option. But 2 tangos? Who the hell did Ben bring with him? I know it can't be Stacy because I have men watching her, and she's at the site where they are trying to access the tunnels. I reply, take no action for now, just keep them under observation. I'm up and awake already, so I call my chopper pilot and start to dress and head to the cabin. The thought of someone working with Ben bothers the hell out of me. Capturing him alone is going to be bad enough, but if he's teamed up with someone close to his talents, I might not ever capture him and will probably have to eliminate him. Present, Ben, at the cabin. We take off at an easy run toward one of the many weapons caches I hid on my property, the one I designed specifically in case I had to deal with a drone. I keep hearing the damn whirring noise of the drone as it follows us. Yeah, they must have thermal on it, and that's how they're following us. However, it's a bit noisier than the drones in the sandbox, so my guess is it must be a new Reaper drone. There will be no problem if my special surprise works, as it won't be an issue. As we approach the area of the weapons cache I order, Destiny, it's imperative that you do exactly what I do. I don't have time to explain things right now because we have to get the drone off our butts. Destiny sounds peculiarly unsettled as she answers, Ben, I will follow and obey because I truly hate being chased by flying things. This is very unlike her, and what the hell does she mean? So I ask, flying things? You mean like birds or the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz? From the tightness in her voice, I know I need to drop the subject, but wish I could ask more when she says, no, birds don't bother me, and I always thought the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz were cool. I've been chased by helicopters far too many times, but this drone gives me a worse sensation than any helicopter I've experienced. Now I know she's one weird chick since everyone I know hates the hell out of those flying monkeys. She's been more of a help tonight than I ever thought she could be. In fact, it's been good having her with me. I can tell I need to calm her down, so I respond, well, if my plan works, then we won't have to worry about the drone. She has doubt in her voice as she asks, and if it doesn't work? I simply reply, then I go to plan B or plan C, and we blow the scumsucker out of the sky. We get to the site. I run up to and press my body close to the huge rock wall and Destiny mimics my move. She says, the heat radiating off this south-facing wall feels good because it's getting cold tonight. I smile and agree. Yeah, that's part of my plan, as the heat from the rock wall will help to confuse the thermal imaging on the drone. Now don't actually touch the wall, but sidestep along the wall with me. We sidestep along the wall, reach the weapons cache, and Destiny has calmed as she remarks, Ben, that drone seems to be circling and doesn't seem to know where we are. But we can't stay here forever, and sooner or later they will direct men into this area to search for us. I reply, well, part 1 of Plan A worked, and you're right that they sure as hell will send men to patrol the area. We will now use part 2 of Plan A to escape from the drone before those men get here. Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at his hotel. I'm almost prepared to leave, start to head to the chopper, and I get another call. Once again, it's the commander from Creech. He doesn't beat around the bush and reports, Sir, we've lost them. Hell's bells. Perhaps I should have told them to pull the trigger when I had the chance. I swear. What the hell do you mean you've lost them? I thought that Reaper has thermal imaging. He replies, yes, sir, top of the line. However, they confused the thermal imager by disappearing against a hot rock wall. I continue to ride his butt. So you're telling me that your $1 million, top of the line, piece of equipment was defeated by a hot stone wall? This isn't going to look good in my report to your superiors, especially with our new reliance on these ineffective pieces of crap. He tries to save his butt. Sir, I'm sure it's just a matter of time until we find them again. I continue to light his butt on fire. Commander, I want continuous drone coverage of the AO until those 2 tangos are found. If you find them again, notify me immediately for a possible fragmentary, or change of orders. I snidely question, did you inform the captain? He replies, yes, sir. He sent men to the area, and they were unable to locate either tango. I interrupt, so you're telling me you lost the tangos against a hot rock wall, and then you couldn't even find them when they left the area? What the hell did they do? Grow wings and fly away? He backpedals and tries to cover his butt. Sir, we easily saw the captain's men as they approached the rock wall. Lost them just like the tangos as they came close to the wall. But unlike the tangos, we were able to easily track them after they moved away from the wall. So we know the drone is functioning within NOP, normal operating parameters. The tangos must have figured out some way to mask their thermal images. We have contacted General Atomics, the manufacturer of the Reaper, and they are highly concerned about this situation. They are sending a team of engineers here and another team of engineers to the cabin site to try and determine how the tangos evaded us. I'm at my chopper and in the call with, well, you and these rocket scientists had better figure how 2 tangos defeated the thermal imaging on the drone. Otherwise, I can see the contract for more drones being canceled. Which means, Commander, you would have nothing to command. Son of a bitch. I knew better and should have pulled the trigger when I had the chance. Present, Ben, at the cabin. I pull my weapons stash out from between the rocks, open up the barrel, pull out 2 Mylar emergency tents, a roll of duct tape, 2 pairs of boots, and 2 other devices. I hand one of the emergency tents to Destiny and order, you need to completely cover yourself with this tent, including your head and especially your face. Use a knife to slit a couple of eye holes in the tent so you can see where you're going, but don't make them too big or heat will leak out of them. Use some of this duct tape to patch the edges of the eye holes so they don't shred. Once you're done with that, put your moccasins in your pack and put on these boots. Sorry if they don't fit well, but I never thought I would have a woman trying to escape from a drone with me. Destiny starts unfolding the tent, begins to cover herself, and comments, you seem to be well prepared for this. I hastily answer, he who is not prepared for today will be less so tomorrow. She answers, did your grandfather teach you that wisdom? I reply, not formally in those exact words, but he did hammer home the need to be prepared for anything. The Marines refined and reinforced the teachings of my grandfather. She continues with her questions, so, does the Mylar tent shield our body heat from the thermal drone? I ignore her thermal drone mistake, but continue my explanation. That's right. The Mylar tent will block out our thermal images. However, the problem is that if we're not careful, we will create thermal black holes where the thermal energy from the background will be blocked. If their operator is good, he could track us by following the lack of heat. She is slipping on her boots and questions, what are these, some sort of cold weather boots? Damn, she asks as many questions as Stacy used to. I wonder if it's a woman thing, but Yince never did that. I think about it and realize I missed the good times I had teaching Stacy. It was fun as hell. Yeah, it's good to have someone to teach again, so I happily answer. They are designed to be used in Arctic weather and are called bunny boots. I'm not sure how good the thermal imaging on the drone is. It's possible without these boots, they might be able to track us by the thermal images our footprints would leave through our normal boots. By the way, make sure not to touch anything with your hand or it will leave a thermal handprint. I was expecting the next question. Destiny asks, how is it that you know so much about thermal imaging? I'm suited up and ready to go. I'm glad it's cold tonight, otherwise we'd both be roasting under our mylar tents. I answer her question. There were many times in the Marines I used thermal scopes on my rifles, so thermal imaging became a topic of professional interest. Destiny finishes suiting up and asks yet another question. What is this valve on the side of the boot? Can I put more air into the boot to make it fit better? I quickly give instructions before she screws up. That's an air valve and is only used for flying, so don't open it. You only use it if you are flying in an unpressurized plane to keep the boots from overpressuring and exploding. Destiny comments, these boots are the warmest thing I've ever had on my feet. Do you mind if I keep them when this mission is finished? What is it about women and shoes or boots? I guess they all like to collect them, so I reply, hell, after all the help you've been already, you've earned them. She additionally questions, what's in the other package you put in your pack and that long tube you have? I pat the tube and answer, what I put in the pack is Plan B, which we will use tomorrow. The tube is called Plan C and is for the drone in case it does find us again and Plan B doesn't work. Now, the night's not over and I need to get some different weapons to continue our campaign. Follow me. I wait until the drone's whirring seems softer than before and decide it's now turned away from us. We leave the area and immediately head under some trees because the trees will help to mask any thermal black holes we create. We pause, listen, and thank God the drone doesn't follow us. Present, Jack, in prison at the cabin. Linus brings up a question I wish he had not asked because I don't want everyone going off half-cocked. With Ben occupying the idiot greenies, do you think it will be safe to slip out of here? I need to nip this in the bud, so I order. Even though they are greenies, I highly doubt they all left to chase Ben. I think you would be authorizing your own death certificate if you walked out of this tent. I'm reinforced when Masha supports me. I agree. To attempt escape at this time would be foolhardy. We need to wait for a better opportunity. However, these handcuffs and shackles are too restrictive, and that must be remedied. With that, Masha sheds her handcuffs, then her shackles, flexes her feet and hands, and then puts them back on less tightly. She orders, Jack, give me your hands, I will loosen yours. I comply. She loosens my restraints and suggests, I would suggest we need to get some sleep for tonight. However, there's a chorus of requests from the other Marines for her to loosen their handcuffs. She gladly complies. While it seems to take forever, she finally comes back and states, Jack, I feel silly for complaining about my handcuffs since the handcuffs were so tight on some of the Marines that they were affecting the circulation to their hands. Hell's bells, that pisses me off even more, so I ask, Masha, were any of them permanently damaged? She smiles, touches the side of my face, and surprises me when she says, Jack, your concern for others is one of the reasons I love you so much. I feel they will all be fine. However, we will need to make sure to loosen the handcuffs each night. She leans against me and I question, Masha, could you make that your job so I don't have to worry about it? She kisses me and answers, my husband, I've already done that. We're almost asleep when, present, Stacy and Samantha, at the cabin. After lighting several fires under the engineers, but by telling him he'd better finish this job tomorrow, I'm finally happy with the progress of the work. I get a call, answer it, and announce to Samantha, the helicopters are almost back with the supplies. She nervously inquires, all the supplies? I smile and answer, of course, all the supplies. She gets ants in her pants and suggests, I would like to get some of my supplies immediately, because they could be very useful. I agree and order, Samantha, you're right. We could certainly use some of those supplies. Bill, make sure the engineer keeps making progress. We will be back later. Samantha is so excited I almost have to hold her hand to keep her from running to our campsite. We get close and are challenged. Who goes there? Stop and give the word of the day. Screw me, I forgot to get the word of the day from Bill. I hope this will work, so I reply, I didn't get the word of the day from Bill, but this is Stacy Summers and Samantha Stevens. We are coming to meet our helicopters. The guard says, hello, Ms. Summers. It's a good thing I recognize your voice. Otherwise, you wouldn't be allowed access. Next time, please make sure Bill gives you the word of the day, and please don't let him know I let you in without it. I smile at him and say, thank you very much. I will do that next time, and your secret is safe with us. Our helicopters land. The rotors spool down. We meet the men unpacking them and ask, do you have some special packages for Stacy Summers and Samantha Stevens? One of my men hands me a package and says, here you go, Ms. Summers. I reply, thank you very much, and make sure you thank the pilot for us. Samantha, and return to our tent. I turn on the light and close the flap. Samantha's hands are actually trembling as she opens the package and says, I am so excited I can hardly control myself. Stacy has been so good to me. Heck, she buys me practically anything I ask for. I get the package open, look at the contents and remark, Stacy, these are way better than the recording glasses I've used before. Plus, they are very stylish. Stacy smiles at me and answers, "Hey, nothing but the best for this mission. I was thinking that perhaps we could use these to document what's going on inside the tent holding the Marines and the medical tent." I begin to sync the glasses with the portable Bluetooth drives, so we will have hours of uninterrupted recording, and ask, "How will we get into the tent where they are holding the Marines?" Stacy grins and answers, "That's easy. We walk in like we own the place." I'm not sure I like this plan since it sounds dangerous. For Stacy, not for me. I'm a war reporter. So I question, what about all the guards? Won't they shoot us? Stacy answers, and I sure hope she's right, because if not, then we will be there all night. No, they are only looking at keeping people inside the tent. My guess is that once we enter the tent, we won't have to leave on our own. They will call the captain to have us removed. And the medical tent, I am sure, will give us no problems. I say a quick prayer to ensure she's right and say, "Okay, we're ready." I hand her a pair of glasses and give instructions. Just tap the right side temple like this to start and stop the recording. We leave and walk toward the tent holding the Marines. Present, Jack, in prison at the cabin. I'm almost asleep when two women walk into the tent. I nudge Masha and say, "Masha, pinch me. I think I am dreaming." Masha, who is already sleeping, wakes up, looks near the entrance and confirms, "Jack, that's Stacy Summers and Samantha Stevens. What are they doing in here?" I settle Masha on a blanket, begin to stand up and say, "I don't know, but I plan to find out." Masha frantically implores, "Jack, Stacy is in charge of rescuing Ivan. Please find out if they've rescued him yet." The two women walk over. I smile and I ask, "What did you two do to Mike to get locked up?" Stacy returns my smile and answers, "Nothing. We came in here to see how you are being treated." I complain, "Well, it's a huge MCF. They are treating us like hell, and I couldn't believe it until I saw Mike. Then it all made sense." Samantha states the obvious, "I can't believe how they are treating all of you. How do they justify this treatment of American citizens?" I look around and reply, "They used the Homeland Security laws to declare all of us enemy combatants, and then invoked martial law to do away with the posse comitatus restrictions." Masha comes over and interrupts, "Stacy, thank you for bringing in the equipment to rescue my son from the tunnels. How is the progress?" Stacy reaches out, takes Masha's hands and assures, "After a shaky start with the engineer, I'm pleased to report that if we don't have any problems, we might be into the tunnels by morning." Samantha begins to ask a question when the captain walks in and yells, "What the hell are you two doing in here?" Stacy answers, "Sorry, sir. We came to tell Jack and Masha Reynolds about the progress on extracting their boy from the tunnels. We assumed you wouldn't mind." The captain answers, "Present, Stacy and Samantha, at the cabin. Screw it. I hope we'd have more time in the prisoner tent. However, the video our glasses have taken will be priceless later on." The captain comes in and complains, "It sure as hell is not okay with me that you're in this tent. Never enter this tent again, or you will be a permanent resident here. Next time you have a message to deliver to them, I will deliver it for you. Come on, let me take you out of here so you both don't get shot." He escorts us out of the prison tent, and Samantha questions. I don't want to get the captain angry, so I question, "Sir, would it be okay if Stacy and I visit the hospital tent? I can tell he's upset about something when he barks." "Well, there's not much to see there. And what the hell? Don't you two ever go to sleep?" I use a reporter's ruse. I lie my butt off and state, "To be truthful, I was hoping to see the hospital tent and then turn in. How about you, Stacy?" Stacy understands what I'm doing, yawns and confirms, "Yeah, I'm beat. The sooner we get this over with, the sooner we can get some shut-eye. So how about it, Captain?" He relents. "I will let you see it only if you promise to go to sleep afterwards." I give him one of my best smiles, motion with my hands and answer, "Cross my heart and hope to die." As he escorts us to the tent, I notice he's watching me and looks like he wants to say something, so I ask, "Sir, did you have a question for me?" He blushes and admits, "Well, it's a little embarrassing, but since you asked, I wondered if the whole gun and spanking incident was real or rehearsed." Stacy immediately interrupts, "Hell no, it wasn't rehearsed. And I didn't hold back on her spanking either." I rub my still sore butt and confirm, "That's right, I'm still a little tender from that." He smiles and explains, "Well, the men have had a pool going, betting on whether it was or wasn't rehearsed. I guess I can provide the definitive answer. We're at the medical tent, and I continue my reporter's ruse. Thank you for the escort, and I do promise we will go right to bed after we tour the medical facilities." We walk into the tent, and it's not like anything I expected. Present, Mira and Alex, at the cache. Two women enter the cache, and I search my mind for immediate identification. I've seen them before, but I don't remember where. They catch Alexi's attention, so he sits up straight and whispers, "Mira, that's the billionaire Stacy Summers and Truth Network reporter Samantha Stevens. I like her, and she is really cute." Ah yes, now I recognize them. As I look closer at them, Their spectacles garner my attention. I whisper, Alexei, they are wearing videographic spectacles, so be on guard. I've already decided I don't like the younger one. They walk up to us, and the younger one questions, why are you being held here? Alexei grins at her and immediately answers, I hope he has fully engaged his brain. How fortuitous this is. I finally get to meet Samantha Stevens in the flesh. I have admired her television reports for practically ever. I answer her question. We have diplomatic immunity, so Mike thought it would be better to house us here rather than with the other prisoners, although his intent to keep us under surveillance is apparent. Samantha points and continues with an obvious question. Are those handcuffs on the bed? I proudly reply, yes. At first we were restrained, however it annoyed me, so I simply removed them. She gives me a dazzling smile and asks, aren't you worried they will shoot you for taking off your handcuffs? I want to impress her, so I reply, no. If they injure us, it would cause an international incident which demands intense scrutiny, and we surmise the command structure prefers such inquiry to be evaded. Samantha twirls her hair and continues, and your names are? I get ready to tell her when Mira interrupts. Alexei has obviously not engaged the totality of his brain, so I interrupt. Our names are of no consequence to you. We are Ms. Morgan's bodyguards. The girl laughs and says, oh, I know all about you since I work for Ms. Morgan too. One of you is Ira, the other is Mira, but I didn't realize she also had such a handsome man for a bodyguard. She is obviously flirting with Alexei, something I find distasteful, so I announce, I oculated your use of video spectacles, so this interview is now terminated. And I slowly begin to rise. It is fortuitous for Samantha that the other woman, who is obviously Stacy Summers, takes her arm and apologizes. We're sorry if we have offended you. Come on, Samantha, we need to see the wounded Marines. They leave. I turn to Alexei and chastise him. Alexei, do not let your hormones interfere with your judgment again. Present, Samantha and Stacy, at the cache. I was having a good time interviewing the young man. He was handsome, and I could tell he was attracted to me. Then Stacy practically drags me out of there as if I was a teenager. We start walking through the rest of the medical tent, and I complain, Stacy, what the hell did you stop my interview for? I had many more questions for him. Stacy yanks on my arm and explains, Samantha, you were making a huge mistake. That was one of the most dangerous women you will ever meet, and you were flirting with her brother. It was an action which obviously annoyed her greatly. I'm not so sure about this, so I ask, Stacy, are you sure? Stacy answers, son of a bitch, we were lucky in many ways to get out of the interview alive. I need to control Samantha more, or she's going to get us killed one day. I answer, hell yes. If she is one of Liz's bodyguards, she's a trained assassin and not someone you ever want to annoy. It's in the background information I gave you. Didn't you read that yet? Samantha looks embarrassed, stares at the ground, and replies, sorry, Stacy, I have not read all of it yet. To be truthful, I have a reading problem, and I read very slowly. It's going to take me at least another week to read everything. This is new and shocking information to me, but I quickly analyze her response and I ask, are you dyslexic? She begins to kick the wheel on a bed, then admits, yes, that's my big secret. Please don't tell anyone. I'm impressed that she can be a reporter and also be dyslexic, so I console her and offer, I sure don't plan on telling anyone, but how about we see if we can get you some help? The old Samantha is back. She looks at me, smiles, and says, Stacy, that would be great, because my inability to read well really bothers me. We turn the corner, there's a guard posted, and he says, sorry, you can't enter this area. Samantha defiantly puts her hands on her hips and questions, why the hell not? He's not impressed or intimidated as he glares at us and replies, this is the morgue, and it's off limits to everyone except higher command and the medical staff. I know this isn't a battle we can win, at least not tonight. So once again I grab Samantha by the elbow. We turn around and leave. I point at the cache in question. Samantha, tell me what you don't see here? She looks around, finally figures it out, gasps and says, present, Zarika and Yasmin, escape. I have a big problem that I need to tell Yasmin, because we came on an airplane, I do not know the directions for Ben's cabin. Yasmin thinks for a moment and comes up with an excellent idea. Perhaps if we found the little village close to it, we could find our husband's cabin. I immediately think of a problem. The names of the villages and cities here are so strange compared to home. Do you remember the name of the village? Wasn't it something like Iron Vale? Yasmin shakes her head and answers, no, it wasn't iron, but it was that heavy metal. Oh, what is that word? I think and speculate. Well, aluminum is light, so it's not aluminum Vale, but gold is heavy. But I know it isn't Gold Vale. Yasmin snaps her fingers and states, I've got it. It was Lead Vale. Quick, Sarika, drive into that store parking lot and go in and ask the vendor for directions. I drive into the store parking lot, carefully try to park, but it takes me 3 tries until I am in the middle of the parking space. Yasmin chirps, good job, Zarika, you didn't hit anything this time. I walk into the store, go up to the counter, begin to ask my questions, and get a surprise. Present, Byron, Tom, and Inga. It's raining hell on the narcotic lord. While Betsy's normal rounds are punching nice holes in the building that's housing the tangos, firing on Tom and Inga, it's not enough. I decide it's time to light things up, so I switch magazines in Betsy to incendiary rounds and start firing into the building in hopes of setting something on fire. Tom almost immediately calms me. Good thinking, Byron. I can already see some fires starting inside the building, so they should be leaving it soon. Inga adds to the plan. Tom, if we take cover while watching the doorway, we should be able to fire on them as they exit the building. Inga comes up with a great idea, because it is the same one I was thinking about, so we both move behind cover and watch the doorway. As the fire builds in the building, the front door flies open and I order, Inga, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. Inga sounds confused when she questions, Tom, what are you talking about? I laugh and reply, it's an old American saying which means to hold your fire until they have started leaving the building and are closer to us. Inga gets huffy and informs me, Tom, I was not born yesterday, and I have been in many battles. I smile and fight back laughter because this is almost as much fun as teasing Jennifer. The scumsuckers finally start leaving the building, but I'm surprised when they start going down and we aren't firing yet. Flashback, Ben, back in the battle. Most people realize that when your legs don't work right, you are really inhibited from doing your job, like I was right now. Because my legs were still screwed up, I couldn't raise myself enough above the floor to see what the hell was going on. Thank God, Jack yelled, Duck, it's a grenade. I guess my stubborn streak forced my tattered body up onto one very wobbly knee to look. Jack wasn't always right, but he was sure as hell right this time. Not only was it a grenade, it was coming right toward me. I had what I hoped would be a great idea and adjusted my position to better prepare my plan. I switched to holding my AK by the barrel end, which burnt the hell out of my hands because the barrel was hotter than hell from all the rounds I'd fired through this piece of shit. But right now I had to ignore the pain and get on with my plan. When the grenade got close enough, I smacked the hell out of the grenade with the wooden buttstock, which sent it right back where it came from. Jack was fired up and hooped. I thought you were a goner. But that was brilliant and great. Another Ben home run. However, what happened next wasn't so great. Flashback, Masha, at the BTR-80. I arrived at the BTR-80 and ran up to Elena while cradling my arm. She quickly glanced at me and stated, dislocated shoulder. My discomfort was nothing compared to the danger my future husband faced, so I replied, yes, but before I am treated, I need to locate Yuri so he can dispatch some troops to assist Ben and Jack. The Chechens have breached the church walls, and the two of them are trying to keep them from running our position. Elena yelled. I was impressed at the loud volume produced by such a small woman. Yuri, the Chechens have breached the church. Jack and Ben need some help. Yuri stopped what he was doing, immediately ran over and asked, where are they? I began to tell him when there was a huge explosion followed by many smaller explosions from where I had left my future husband and Ben. I seriously wondered if I would become a widow before I achieved the status of a bride. Flashback, Jack, back in the battle. Ben smacked the hell out of the grenade with his AK. Hell, it was better than his grenade bat. He sent it right back at the scumsuckers who threw it at him. I was busy congratulating him when all hell broke loose in our part of the church. There was a massive explosion and I watched as it tossed the scumsuckers everywhere. Unfortunately, Ben and I were both hit with natural shrapnel, pieces of wood and small rocks. On our faces, thank God none of it hit our eyes. I ducked as the big explosion seemed to trigger a chain reaction of explosions, some small and some large. I looked over at Ben, and he had that crazy grin on his face, almost as if he'd planned it. Finally, the explosion stopped, but my ears were screwed, and I couldn't hear shit. Ben crawled out from behind his cover, and the crazy little shit crawled toward the Chechens. I rose up to provide support, analyzed the situation, but there wasn't anything or anyone left to shoot. Hell, they were more than dead. They were obliterated. I moved over beside Ben, squatted to be close to him, and yelled, what the hell happened? He laughed, which I barely heard, and yelled, I got lucky and dropped the grenade right into the duffel bag of grenades they were using. It set all of them off, and the resulting explosion triggered all the scumsuckers' suicide vests. Masha frantically ran up, looked at me, and like a typical woman complained, Jack, you're hurt. Hell, I felt pretty damn good since we'd just kicked the hell out of a buttload of Chechens, so I cockily countered, like hell I am. She gently touched my face. Her hand felt great, but hurt some too. She pulled her hand back, and there was blood on it. She began to say something when Yuri finally ran up, of course after everything was over, and demanded, where are the Chechens who breached the church? Ben rose up on one elbow, pointed to various places and laughed. There's a piece of one. There's a piece of another. Oh, I think that's a foot, and that definitely looks like a hand. Masha looked amazed. and maybe just a little green, and asked, "What did you do to them?" Ben laughed like crazy and said, "Jack and I blew them back to hell where they belong." I looked at Masha, realized what was still wrong, and complained. Flashback, Jack, the battle is over. I was slightly pissed at Masha. She didn't do what she said she was going to do, so I gave her some shit. "Masha, your shoulder is still dislocated. Weren't you going to get that taken care of?" She gave me a defiant look, shook her finger at me, and scolded, "Jack Reynolds, don't you dare use that tone of voice with me. When we heard the explosions, we thought you and Ben had died. If she wanted a fight, she was going to get a fight." I got ready to return her shit when Ben began to laugh. We looked at him and I demanded, "What the hell is so damn funny?" He smirked at me and I couldn't believe his reply. I never thought I would see Jack Reynolds wearing the old ball and chain. I couldn't believe he used that term, especially since Masha looked at me and innocently asked, "Jack, what is wearing the old ball and chain?" Damn, talk about a rock and a hard place. This certainly qualified. I thought for a moment and came up with what I thought was a hell of a lie. It's this old ball that's connected with a chain to a handle that you use when you fight. You know, a mace. I thought I had it made until Ben snickered. Then Masha got in my face. "Jack Reynolds, don't you dare lie to me." Masha's demand sent Ben over the edge, and he started laughing so hard he could hardly breathe. We looked at him, and then something strange happened. It was like his laughter was contagious. I began to laugh. Yuri started to laugh, and even Masha joined with her own belly laugh. Masha gasped in between fits of laughter, "Jack, my love, what are we laughing about?" I shrugged my shoulders and answered, "I have no idea. Let's get you back to Elena and have her fix your shoulder." Yuri helpfully offered, "I will move Sergeant Blaine. You take good care of your future bride." Our good mood and laughter continued until we got back to the BTR-80. Unfortunately, our good mood was then totally ruined. Flashback, Jens, at the military hospital. Daddy was angry when he left my room because I was in pain and I hoped he would have Katie, my nurse, bring me something for pain. I moved a little in the bed, but it only made things worse. It was so painful now that if it didn't improve, I couldn't practice tomorrow. I carefully and slowly got up to go to the bathroom, came back out, and was surprised because my mother was back in the room. I didn't even get a chance to say anything before she screeched, "You ungrateful little bitch. I am here to teach you a lesson you will never forget." She scared the heck out of me, so I asked, "Mother, what are you planning on doing?" She produced a leather belt from behind her back, snapped it several times, and threatened, "I'm going to beat you until you respect me. Get used to it because it's called tough love, and you are going to get giant helpings of it." Evelyn was totally crazy, but I hoped to reason with her. "Mother, if you beat me with that, I will respect you even less." Then I added a threat. "In fact, I might even hate you." The attempt at reasoning and even the threat didn't work as I had hoped. Unfortunately, in my incapacitated state, I couldn't move well enough to fight back. I couldn't believe it when Evelyn began to beat on my arms. I quickly moved them out of her way, which unfortunately left my legs vulnerable. She started on my legs and laughed. "I will teach you to call my butt fat." I couldn't do anything else, so I began to cry and scream until finally. Flashback, Glenn, at the military hospital. I talked to Jennifer's nurse at the nurse's station and calmed down after she informed me that we couldn't risk getting Jennifer addicted to the pain medication, so we needed to wait until Jennifer's next dosage was due. Suddenly, we heard screaming and crying from Jennifer's room, and we both dashed into the room. My mouth dropped open, and I was immobilized when I saw Evelyn was beating the hell out of Jennifer with a belt. This was some sort of nightmare that I never dreamed could happen. Those two had their problems, but their conflict had never manifested themselves in physical violence. Thank God Jennifer's nurse didn't suffer from my reaction, and she sprang into action. She ran over to Evelyn, jumped on her back, locked her arms around Evelyn's neck, and they began to fight. Hell, it had the effect of stopping Evelyn's onslaught, but she was still pissed and swore at the nurse. "Let me go, you little bitch. This is all your damn fault." The nurse yelled right back, "What the hell are you doing? This is your own daughter you're beating. I'm going to call the military police and report this child abuse." Evelyn laughed and countered, "Like hell it is. My supposed daughter has become an ungrateful little bitch because of you, and she needs a good beating to whip her back into shape. Don't you know tough love when you see it?" The initial shock wore off, and when I finally regained my composure, I ran into the fray, grabbed Evelyn, shook the hell out of her, and ordered, "Evelyn, that's enough." Evelyn stopped struggling. Her mood uncharacteristically shifted from enraged moonbat to normal drunk. Then she rudely accused me, "Glenn, you're always taking Jennifer's side against me. What have you two been doing behind my back? I bet the ungrateful little bitch is putting out for you, and that's why you don't want sex from me anymore." Jennifer's nurse, who was now liberated from the fight, caused me great concern when she threatened, "I think I've heard and seen quite enough. I'm calling the MPs." This was a huge MCF. I glared at Evelyn and declared, "Well, Evelyn, you really screwed the pooch this time." Flashback, Alexei, in the laboratory. Yes, I devised a new plan. This straitjacket did not fit me well, so I wriggled around in it, pulled one arm up and over my head, and now I could move my arms. Then I used my teeth to open the buckle on the arms and finally reached behind me and opened the top and bottom restraining buckles. For something that was supposed to restrain a psychotic patient, it did not perform its basic function very well. I no sooner finished when the psychologist walked in and demanded, "Alexei, what are you doing?" I continued my ongoing ruse and concocted a great lie. My suit jacket was too tight, and I couldn't move freely enough, so I removed it. He gave me a strange look and questioned, "What suit jacket?" I held up the straitjacket, smiled, and responded to his inquiry. "This new suit you gave me, doctor. I believe it needs to return to the tailor for some alterations." His brow furrowed in displeasure. He looked me straight in the eyes and stated, "Alexei, that is not a suit. That is a straitjacket." I needed a new idea and devised another great lie, so I asked, "Doctor, why would you provide me a smoking jacket? I thought those were exclusively for use by playboys or old men." His face reddened as his anger simmered, and he repeated again very slowly, as if that was going to help, "Alexei, that is not a smoking jacket. That is a straitjacket." I gave him the strangest look I could muster and answered, "What?" He looked confounded and replied with a question, "What?" I determined this might be an enjoyable new pastime, so I replied, "What? What?" His face became beet red. I could see the anger in his eyes as he yelled, "Alexei, stop repeating what I say." I continued my game and simply replied, "Alexei, stop repeating what I say." His hands trembled as he yelled, "Stop it." I yelled, "Stop it." I knew I'd achieved victory when he took many breaths to calm down. He finally shook his head and said, "Alexei, you are very sick, and I am going to leave you now." I of course repeated, "Alexei, you are very sick, and I am going to leave you now." He left, and I fought back laughter. For once I captured the psychologist's goat. I celebrated by jumping on the bed. Since I knew I was being watched, I preened with the straitjacket as if it was my most beloved possession. Then I tried it on backwards and audibly complained, "Yes, this new jacket does not fit me well at all. It must go back to the tailor's." I folded it suitably and placed it on the foot of my bed. Flashback, Ira and Safia, in Israel. While searching for the supposed eunuch guard's domicile, we were surprised when we turned a corner and the behemoth man blocked our passage. He clapped his digital manipulators and incorrectly assumed, "I finally captured you?" I vehemently corrected his misinformation. "Sir, you have not captured anything." He smiled, clapped his digital manipulators several more times, rubbed them together as if washing them, and stated, "Yes, I have caught both of you wandering around in my house. What are you two looking for?" I let his fallacy of catching us go unopposed this time and informed him, "I am looking for a change of accoutrements. After witnessing your alimentary lavage explosion, I felt a desperate need to change my accoutrements." He smiled and provided more information than I cared to process. "Yes, after the wonderful alcohol enema, and then the wonderful care my harem provided by cleaning up the mess, I feel like a new man. I was thinking I would add this to my weekly Heath treatments. But why are you looking for new clothes here since the harem room is back in that direction?" He pointed with an obscenely gross digit in the direction we just departed. My anger began to rise as I further informed him I would never wear those accoutrements because I am not a harlot. He clapped his digital manipulators again, laughed obscenely, and challenged, "I have determined that for the right price, all women become harlots. Therefore, name your price." I entertained serious considerations of ending his existence, but the thought of Mira and I becoming takers of care for the lesbian harem women appeased my actions. However, it was time for a serious threat to end this obscene theater. I placed my hand on my katana and answered coldly, "My price is your life." His mirthful attitude immediately departed. He stepped back a few steps and questioned, "You can't be serious?" I smiled, toyed with the handle of my katana, and declared, "I am as serious as a myocardial infarction. I was considering using the accoutrements from the smallest of your deceased supposed eunuch guards when you interrupted our progress." He blinked, looked founded dumb, and questioned, "Deceased and supposed eunuchs, I don't understand that statement." This admission reinforced my belief that the actions of the deceased supposed eunuch guards were a mystery to Akamt. It provided me exceeding mirth to inform him, "Obviously you were not aware of the traitorous actions within your own house. Your eunuch guards were not actually eunuchs, but instead were fully functional males who used your harem to pleasure themselves and their friends. And I described them as deceased, because when they wanted me to orally pleasure them as an initiation into your harem, I removed their training tools, and then your harem viciously and savagely pummeled them to death for their previous transgressions." He continued with his founded dumb expression and questioned, What is a training tool? Safia laughed as she took pleasure in translating. She cut off their tools. The behemoth man instinctively reached for his training tool, while Safia and I giggled with unbounded mirth at the almost autonomic action. He stated the obvious, the nature of which I had already concluded, and informed us. I did not know any of this was transpiring in my house. Safia euphemized, "No shit, Sherlock. Ira already said that." I cataloged this new euphemism for future questioning and tiring of this game. I continued to toy with the handle of my katana and threatened, "Take me to the quarters of your supposed unit guards unless you desire a demonstration of how fragile the male training tool is." This threat properly motivated him. He quickly turned and stated, "I like my training tool where it is and will immediately take you to their chambers." We followed him as his grossly obese form waddled down the hallway. I practically laughed when Safia mimicked his waddle. Flashback, Mira, in Israel. I opened the harem horde's door after receiving assurances that every person except Naomi had relocated to the far wall, but was immediately accosted by the same women who gave me their false assurances. In an action typical of their gender, they began a cacophony of yelling, "Get the bitch. I'm going to beat her until she can't walk. I'm going to use her like a play toy and then throw her away." Yes, I was surprised. However, I was not caught footed flat. I tactically retreated posteriorly against the onslaught while parrying their ineffective blows and began to deliver well-placed counterattacks designed to render my assailants inoperable. I ear-slapped one, which ruptured her eardrums, and she fell to the floor, writhed in pain, and complained, "I can't hear anything." A well-placed kick of sufficient force dislocated the knee of another, and she immediately dropped to the floor, held her knee, and began to cry. Because of their mammoth size, I acquired the mammary glands of a third with my digital extremities and rotated them with all my strength. She was gassed of flabbered with the treatment of her delicate bits, dropped to the floor, hugged her chest, and wailed like a child. I continued my counter-onslaught until the entire harem horde lay inoperable at my feet. I paraded around the room as the victorious conqueror. It was time for the spoils of my war, so I summarily threatened the harem horde as I walked by and enjoyed their cowering. Growing tired of my frivolity, I finally ordered, "Everyone translocate into the harem room immediately. If one of the harlots can't move, the others must assist her." Naomi translated, "Mira says we need to get back into our room." I observed them carefully as they complied with my order, in case one of them might reject reality and consider another attack. However, they skulked into their room like the beaten curs they were. I bolted the door behind them and announced, "Because of your foolishness, I have decided I will restore all of Akem's manly faculties. I hope you once again enjoy your lives as his harlots." I turned and left the room serenaded by a huge cacophony of wailing from the harem horde. Flashback, Todd, on the island. As I started to wake from a sound sleep, my dreams became a montage of life experiences. I could see clearly the progression of choices which led me to become a true warrior. It was also apparent how those choices led to a very lonely life. I woke with Lou beside me, and was in awe of the stark contrast to my previous life. It was both wonderful and amazing that I went from being captive to becoming a very good friend in such a short time. Hell, if I had known simply saving her from a Komodo dragon would garner me this reward, I would have performed the task sooner, much sooner. I began to get up when Lou pulled me back to bed and present, Maria, in the equipment room. Even though Liz and my princess boss try to convince me, I'm still not sure at all about this bogus mumbo-jumbo that my princess boss can connect to Ben. Bullshit. But I decide I will humor her for now. Hell, she's been wounded, and I sure don't need to get her upset right now. Ivan, now that is one annoying kid, comes over and hands my princess boss a picture. Jens gets way too excited for her condition and remarks, "Ivan, that looks exactly like the wolf lady I saw with Ben. Come over here, everyone, and see this picture." Seeing some brat's annoying drawing is about the last thing I want to do, but I slowly move toward my princess boss. Liz arrives at her side first and makes a big deal about it. "Ivan, that is an incredible drawing. It looks exactly like Ben, and I've never seen a wolf look more realistic." I walk over, take a look at it, and I'm shocked but hide my feelings. My princess boss asks, "Present, Jens, in the equipment room." I am shocked that Maria, who hasn't been on Ivan's good side, doesn't say anything about Ivan's drawing, so I confront her. "So Maria, what do you think of that drawing?" She yawns but admits, "It's pretty good." Her indifference pisses me off, so I let her know what I think. Pretty good. Hell, I would say that he's not only captured Ben's. Ivan interrupts and corrects, "Unca Ben." I accept Ivan's correction and continue. "Unca Ben's facial features, and even part of his spirit. And the wolf is exactly as I saw her. I hope after the shit I gave her, Maria would make a bigger deal over the drawing, but she yawns and misdirects my attention. "Jens, it's time to check your wound." Thank God Ivan is young enough that Maria's bullshit doesn't hurt him. Otherwise, I'd be forced to kick Maria's butt again. I politely ask, Ivan, would you mind if I kept this picture of Uncle Ben and the wolf lady since it might be the best drawing of Uncle Ben I have ever seen? He gets excited by my request, hops from one foot to the other, then smiles and asks, you will put on refrigerator like my mama do? I look at the work of art again, and I can't believe Masha would put something like this on the lowly refrigerator. I'm sure not going to do that, so I reply, no, I plan on framing it and hanging it on the wall. Ivan increases his hopping speed, so I can barely follow the movement. I'm watching him, and it's making me dizzy, but he giggles and offers, I draw more pictures for your walls. Present, Liz, in the equipment room. I am highly impressed with Ivan's drawing, as Ben and the wolf looked so real. The kid really has a gift. My guess is it comes from Masha and not Jack. Jack doesn't strike me as being very artistic. I am more than slightly annoyed that Maria is being such a bitch about things. Hell, Ivan is a great kid, so he pranked her, big deal. I decide I am going to have a little talk with her, so I ask, Maria, can you and I talk? She's finished looking at Jens wound and simply replies, sure. I add, in private. Maria gives me a dubious look, but we walk away from Jens into a corner where she can't hear, and I order, Maria, you need to back off on your scorn of Ivan and cut him some slack. She crosses her arms across her chest, gives me a defiant look, and argues, Liz, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. He's just a spoiled brat of the highest degree. While the direct approach fails miserably, so I try the logical approach. I appeal to her reason. Listen, Maria, how many kids of his age could hold it all together with what he's been through? He really is a great kid. So he pranked you. You have to admit that was funny. Maria glares at me, takes several steps back, and counters, I hate being made to look like a fool. But even more than that, I hate being told what to do. So back off, bitch. Present, Ben, at the cabin. We reach another one of my weapons caches while successfully avoiding the drone. I start digging down to reach the cover, and Destiny asks, just how many of these do you have? I start to count the number of my weapons caches in my head, lose count, and settle for a half-truth, more than enough to fight this battle. I reach the lid, clear away any extra dirt, open the cache, pull out my 50 caliber Barrett, and start removing all the ammo. 50 caliber ammo is heavier than hell, and I could use some help, so I ask, since you removed the rocks from your pack, would you haul some of this ammo for me? I should have known better than to ask, as her hippie chick side shows up, and she argues, Ben, I will not carry any ammo if you are going to use it to kill anyone. Hell, I reaffirm my opinion of how she's too granola hippie chick. As I begin to speak, she interrupts, I don't like your attitude toward me. I am not a too granola hippie chick, like you believe. I get in her face and challenge. Well, you sure helped me earlier, and I could use the help now. I don't have any plans to immediately kill anyone. She moves away and counters. Well, what about later, and more importantly, what about Mike? I state what for me is an obvious fact of life. Sometimes death is an unfortunate part of any mission, and Mike not only deserves to die, he needs to die. The scumsucker. She continues with her errant thinking and states what she believes is an absolute. Ben, no one deserves to die? I feel that I have her in an untenable logical position, so I pursue my thoughts. Oh, really, no one? How about Charles Manson or Hannibal Lecter? She backpedals and avoids the question with a platitude. Ben, all life is precious and needs to be treated with respect. What a joke. I laugh and give her my version of the truth. Oh yeah? I will respect Mike right after I kill his butt. And you never answered my question about Manson or Lecter. Destiny pauses for several moments. Thinks, then she announces, Ben, it is a shame that we have those sort of people in our world, but killing them because they are murderers makes no sense. Why should we give the government power to kill people when it can jail others for killing people? It's the pot calling the kettle black. Oh my God, I can't believe she just said that. I laugh and tell her how things really work in my world. Destiny, governments have always killed people and will always continue to kill people. You are living in some sort of fictional world and need to get your head out of the sand. Now are you going to help me carry some of this ammo? She delivers a common phrase I recognize. I would prefer not to. I inform her that I know the source of her quote. Yeah, I've read Herman Melville's Bartleby the Scrivener many times. I can't believe you of all people would fall back to Bartleby's defense just because you've obviously lost the real argument. I continue and tease. I rest my case. You are a crunchy granola, hippie chick. For once she's quiet, and I wonder if I have offended her. Oh well, if I did she will eventually get over it. I overload my pack, grab the Barrett and command, come on, we need to get under cover. If we are out during the daytime the drone will find us. Then I hear something that piques my interest, so we make a detour. Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at the cabin. We land at the cabin. The helicopter spools down at engines. The captain comes to assist me, then what the hell? There's a loud as hell noise and pieces of metal and hot oil rain down on us. We look up and see there's a big hole in the side of the helicopter engine. I begin to count, and 2.5 seconds later we hear the report of a rifle. I order, "Captain, Blaine is shooting at us with some sort of 50 caliber rifle, and he's just disabled my helicopter. I want that scumsucker found. He's approximately 2,500 yards from here. Present, Ben, at the cabin." Now that was too much fun. I loved putting a 50 through the engine on Mike's chopper and blowing it to hell. Shit, if he wants to come to my cabin and hunt me, I might as well make sure he stays for the rest of the fun like everyone else. I get another great idea. Take aim again, and Destiny whines, "Ben, don't tell me you're going to kill Mike." Her complaint doesn't faze me as I touch off another round. I look at her and answer, "Hell no, I didn't kill the scumsucker right now, but that won't stop me later. Now let's get the hell out of here." Anytime you fire more than one round from a location, you give your position away. As we leave the area, I see something that gives me the best idea of the night. Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at the cabin. I begin moving in my wheelchair to get away from the hot as hell damn oil spraying out of the hole in my helicopter's engine, and then things get unbelievably worse. The scumsucker Ben shoots the hell out of the wheel on my wheelchair. Shit, the 50 blows it right off the frame, and without the wheel I tumble to the ground. I worry that the scumsucker is going to shoot me next, so I order, "Help me get the hell out of here." The crazy a-hole is shooting at me now. The captain and a private come over, grab me, and haul toward the tent. Present, Jack, in prison at the cabin. Even though I'm older, it hasn't diminished the effect of my training. I still wake up when I hear the wonderful report of a 50 caliber rifle being fired. I look around and see Linus is also awake. He points to his ear and questions, "Think that's Ben?" I whisper, hoping to keep Masha asleep, "Yeah, that has to be my boy." We hear one more ballistic 50 caliber crack, then it stops and I add, "That will probably be the last shot Ben fires." He knows that if he fires more than a few shots from his location, the greenies will be able to find him. Masha, who was obviously fooling me about being asleep, compliments my action. "My Jack, you trained him well, but one man against a whole company is a suicide mission." I'm in shock that Masha hasn't realized it yet, so I inform her, "Masha, I figured out that Ben is fighting a guerrilla war. Hell, we don't know what he shot with the 50 caliber, but this is already his second successful attack of the night." Masha asks, "Jack, is this something you taught Ben? Because it doesn't sound like something you would perform." Sometimes I wonder how it is Masha knows me so well and also knows so much about military tactics, so I answer, "Like hell it wasn't me. I always had to keep him from performing full frontal assaults." Linus interrupts with a laugh and then comes out with something I wish he never had said. "Yeah, you two did get in some hair-raising shootouts." Masha pulls away from me and inquires, "Jack, you never told me about these hair-raising shootouts." I use the typical answer that I've used to get out of many tight spots with Masha. "Well, my love, they were classified." She turns away from me, looks at Linus and demands, "Linus, what do you know about these missions?" Present, Linus, in prison at the cabin. Shit, I really stepped in it this time. I was still sleepy and wasn't thinking when I talked about Ben and Jack's missions. Hell, they were legendary, and even if they were only half true, they would still have been awesome. Now Masha wanted to know more about them, so I followed Jack's lead and simply stated, "Masha, they are classified and I can't tell you anything. Besides, when teams start talking about their missions, things sometimes get exaggerated." Jack adds, "Highly exaggerated." Masha gives Jack a funny look and threatens. Present, Masha, in prison at the cabin. "Jack, I still have some contacts and I will find out about these so-called hair-raising shootouts of yours. And if you have lied to me, you will not like the results." I fight back laughter as Jack tries to backpedal. "Masha, honey, they really weren't that incredible. Hell, most of the time we were bored. Now why don't we pray for Ivan and try to get some more sleep?" This would not be the first time Jack has lied to me, but this time I believe the information is critical. I know I need to discern the truth about these missions. Depending on who they terminated, my family could be at risk. Present, Stacy and Samantha, at the cabin. We leave the morgue area, walk back into the medical area, and I can't believe I have to do Samantha's job for her. I ask Samantha, "What is it you don't see in here?" She looks around, finally sees it, gasps and answers, "I don't see any wounded Marines. I thought there was a huge battle here where many Marines were wounded." I further clarify, other than the twins, their brother, and the other man in the bed, there are no patients. Samantha asks the big question, "Where are all the wounded?" I shake my head and answer, "I don't know for certain, but I have a sneaky suspicion they are in the morgue." Samantha gets upset and complains. "I'm very upset and complain, Stacy. If that's true, then Mike's men killed the wounded Marines. We need to find a way to get into the morgue to document this. This travesty." Stacy looks around, shrugs her shoulders and answers, "Samantha, I'm not sure you will be able to do that. As it is, I'm sure we're being followed everywhere we go. I quickly look around, but I don't see anyone, so I challenge her. How in the hell do you know? Stacy smiles at me and gives me one of her more common answers, because it's something Ben would have done. I think for a few moments, then I come up with a great idea. Present, Mira and Alex, at the cache. After the annoying encounter with the new lady and Alexi's hormonal rage, I continue to instruct Alexi, you cannot divulge any information to any outlets of news. It is highly dangerous. Alexi does not seem to understand the gravity of the situation, so he smiles and counters. Mira, my sister. I was going to use her to acquire information for our benefit. As one of his sisters, I need to perceive his intentions, so I question, can you assure me you had no carnal feelings toward that woman? He waves his hand in a dismissive manner, then laughs. Mira, I am a male, so of course I had carnal feelings toward her. She is very attractive. His attitude is insulting, and if I wasn't slightly incapacitated, I would teach him a lesson. I settle instead for a petulant complaint. I do not like her. Alexi laughs and further infuriates me. Why, Mira? Are you jealous of Samantha? His insolence has extended far past a reasonable level. I prepare to physically teach him a lesson when something exciting happens. Present, Zarika and Yasmin escape. I enter this rather strange-looking store, walk up to the counter, and ask the vendor, Sir, do you know the way to Leadvale? He gives me a funny look, scratches his head, and says, Oh hell, you must mean Leadville. You do realize what sort of store this is, don't you? I look around, see many different herbs in containers along with some bakery goods, and state, You sell herbs and desserts. He shakes his head and laughs. Didn't you notice the green cross outside the store? Well, if that's what you want to call pot, then yes, we sell herbs. I cannot believe his statement and stammer, Pot as in marijuana. He points to the many containers and smiles. That's right. We have one of the best selections in Denver. Now if you aren't buying some pot, I suggest you leave, because I sure as hell don't give information for free. I am flustered, but hope he will answer one more question. Is there some place that I might obtain directions to Leadville? He very rudely yells. Yeah, there's a 7-Eleven down the street. Get the hell out of my store and ask them. I walk very quickly back to the ugly minivan car, get inside, and Yasmin asks, Well, Zarika, did you get directions? I look at Yasmin and incredibly state, Yasmin, you will never guess what they sell in this store. They sell marijuana. Yasmin glares at me in disbelief and says, Zarika, don't you tease me. I shake my head and reply, Yasmin, I am not lying. The whole store is full of marijuana, and because I didn't want to buy any, the man would not give me directions. He did tell me there was a store called 7-Eleven down the street, so help me find it. I am not sure about Zarika's story that this store only sells marijuana. Back home it is against the law to sell, and I can't believe there are stores in America that openly sell that narcotic. Zarika begins to drive, makes it out of the parking lot without hitting anything again, so I praise her ability. Good job, Zarika. Her hands are white from gripping the steering wheel so tightly, and then she answers, Thank you, Yasmin. It is much more difficult driving here than in the desert. There are so many things to watch and so many other cars on the road. We are very close to the store, so I quickly yell, Zarika, there is a store with 7-Eleven on it. Zarika scares me as she swerves across the road. Many cars honk their horns and a few of the drivers show us the finger. So I decide to show them both of my fingers, and I comment, Zarika, I'm not sure you were supposed to do that. She is trembling as she answers, I think you are right. We enter the parking lot. Zarika quickly finds a parking space, and then something else bad happens. Present, Inga, Tom, and Byron. It's raining hell on the narcotic lord. Amazingly, the narcotic lord's men are going down, and the shots are coming from behind us. I turn quickly expecting a fight, but I'm relieved when I realize who it is and inform Tom. It looks as if the recon team has decided to rejoin us. Tom glances behind us and teases them. It's about time you scumsuckers showed up, but now you're going to ruin all the fun. The recon team ignores his insult, but I add, Well, if it's fun you want, I bet I can take out more of the men than you. Tom rises to the challenge and states, There's no way in hell that's going to happen. We both begin firing, and I yell, That's one. Tom unbelievably states, I lie as if I really believe what I'm saying, and that's 2 for me. I figure I'm going to get her goat, and continue, and 3 and 4. I continue as more of the bad guys fall. Then Inga whines like a typical woman. Tom, I believe I shot the last one. Byron calms and ruins everything. You have to watch Tom, since sometimes he's been known to stretch the truth. I calm back and tease. Byron, you know that you tell more lies than Carter has little liver pills. Then I begin to laugh. Byron yells, but only distortion come through the comm set. Now, Tom has stepped over the line. I'm mad and yell, Tom, you take that back or you will pay. Tom continues laughing, counters and challenges. Byron, there is no way in hell am I taking that back. Besides, what the hell could you do to me? I guess Tom forgot how much I really know about him. I chuckle and threaten. Tom, I think you've forgotten that I know about all the dalliances that Inga was asking about. I'm sure she'd like to hear about the time you thought you got crabs. Inga calms and laughs. Yes, Byron. Such information would interest me greatly. Tom swears. Byron, you shut your big fat mouth, or else. I stand firm. Not until I get an apology. Inga pleads. Byron, please tell me about the pubic lice story. I get ready to tell her, then I see something, and I warn. Guys, you might want to back away from the building. I think it could explode. Flashback, Jack, back at the BTR-80. We had a great time laughing. Well, I'm not sure what it was all about, but it was good and continued all the way back to the BTR-80. I was happy because we were all still alive and in a hell of a good mood. When the captain came up and reprimanded the hell out of us, it ruined it. What the hell are you laughing about? Where the hell were all of you, and what did you do to destroy my BTR-80? I was pissed but still managed to stammer, Sir, we were fighting the Chechens who had breached the church. The captain confounded us when he arrogantly demanded, and who gave you the orders to do that? Because of his tone, I became defensive and replied, Sir, you were busy and it seemed like the right thing to do. But the captain continued his tirade. You have still not answered 2 of my original questions. What was so funny that you were laughing like hyenas, and what did you do to destroy my BTR-80? I started to explain, but Ben interrupted. Flashback, Ben, back at the BTR-80. Hell's bells, the damn captain must be trying to cover his butt, and by trying so hard to salvage his, but he ruined the perfectly good time we were having. I interrupted Jack. Sir, we don't know what destroyed the BTR-80, but with the Chechens gone for the moment, perhaps we should take a look. However, I do wish to report that in my attempt to stop the BTR-80 from firing at us, I did kill one of your soldiers with a grenade. The captain exploded. You admit to killing one of the men? I hung my head in shame, which I felt to the core of my being, and admitted, yes, sir. I accept full responsibility and will take whatever punishment you deem fit. Flashback, Masha, back at the BTR-80. My arm felt like it was going to fall off. Elena had come over to look at my arm. However, I could not let her fix it right now because I realized Ben had placed himself in grave danger. Danger brought about by his actions, but which were reasonable actions. And the death of the soldier was the result of the total skirmish, and especially was not totally Ben's fault. The captain started to speak, unwisely, and I interrupted, to protect Jack and Ben. Captain, I would be very careful what you say next. The news reporting crew is at this site documenting the case of friendly fire which you permitted to occur while under your command. Yes, Ben Blaine has confessed to killing an ally, but that was after Ben, Jack and Elena had already suffered over an hour of sustained fire from your BTR-80. The attack upon them continued even after I had informed you of the BTR-80 firing upon the Americans. Actions performed by troops under your command and actions which you failed to stop. Elena angrily added, That is correct, Captain. I was inside the church with Ben while our forces tried to kill us. If it was not for Ben's quick action in making sure we were all lying on the floor, we all would have died. Just look behind us at the many holes in the wall which the BTR cannon fire created. The captain finally appeared to evaluate the situation and looked sheepish as he glanced around at the many holes in the church. The news reporter added to the captain's discomfort when he asked, Captain, are those allegations true? His face showed concern as he suddenly ordered, Leave here immediately. I will not discuss ongoing military operations with the press. The news crew didn't depart in a timely manner, so he motioned to his men, who had finally arrived from the hospital, in annoyance, and they began removing the news crew. They started to take Elena away, but she complained, Do not do this. I am Ben's private nurse, and I must stay with him. For confirmation of my status, just ask him. The captain questioned Ben, Sergeant Blaine, is that a fact? Ben did not immediately answer since Jack was busy talking to him. So I replied for him, Yes, Captain, that is a verifiable fact. Then I went to see what Ben and Jack were talking about. Flashback, Jack, back at the BTR-80. I started talking to Ben because I could tell how he felt. Shit, his whole face was nothing but a reflection of his feelings about killing the soldier. Ben, come on. You know it was an accident, and it wasn't totally your fault. He answered, Shit, Jack. I've never killed a friendly, and I sure as hell don't know how this isn't my fault. I'm the one that smacked the grenade that killed him. I attempted to console him and soon reminded him, Yeah, after the scumsuckers had been firing at us forever. Hell, we're lucky we survived, and that was only because of your quick thinking. Masha came over and said, Ben, I am sorry for what happened. Elena came up and attempted to distract everyone. Hey Ben, have you ever seen a dislocated shoulder relocated? It's really cool to view the process. Ben looked up and said, Thanks guys for trying to make me feel better, but it's not going to work. I killed a friendly, and now I have to learn how to live with it. Elena cheerily stated, Okay, you feel however you feel you must, but here is how you relocate a shoulder. We all watched as Elena commanded, Jack, assist Masha to lie on the floor. I tried my best to clean up an area and then help Masha to the floor. Elena sat on the floor beside Masha and continued. Unlike many movies where you see this done very quickly, such action will only further injure the patient. You must place your foot in their armpit and provide a strong, gentle pull on the wrist. A mask of pain covered Masha's face as she complained, "Ugh, that hurts." Elena was undaunted by Masha's reaction, and we watched as she described her actions. Again, a strong, steady pull until we heard a pop. Then Masha smiled in relief and stated, "Thank you, Elena. That was excellent medical treatment." Elena questioned, "How many times has your shoulder been dislocated?" Masha answered, "Several times. I don't remember exactly how many." Elena finished her instruction. This should work in most cases. If it is the first time for a patient's shoulder to be dislocated, then it might not work, and you might need to stabilize the shoulder until you get them to a hospital. Masha then asked, "Elena, are you familiar with the term old ball and chain?" I glared at Ben as he began to laugh again. Flashback. Masha, back at the BTR 80. Good. Ben was laughing again. I thought that might happen if I questioned Elena about the old ball and chain. His laughter was similar to a child's, and was as contagious as any childhood disease. Elena gave me a quizzical look and answered, "Masha, I have never heard that term before. Where did you hear it?" I replied, "I was scolding Jack when Ben commented that he never thought he would see Jack wearing the old ball and chain." Elena shook her head and stated, "I do not think that sounds like a compliment." I confirmed her opinion and added, "I agree. I do not think it is flattering, and when I have access to a computer, I will discover its meaning." The captain came back and added to his complaints. Flashback. Ben, back at the BTR 80. The ball and chain comment from Masha got me laughing again, even though I really didn't feel any better. Oh, I knew when Masha looked it up there was going to be hell to pay. But hell, I just killed a friendly and figured it couldn't be any worse than what I felt right now. I was sitting on the floor and had been looking at the front of the screwed-up BTR 80. The captain came back, continued to act just like an officer, and once again ruined the mood. "Why are you all standing around? There is work to be done." Masha's face displayed annoyance as she retaliated. "For one, you are not my commander, so I do not take assignments from you." Elena laughed and sassed, "Sorry, sir, but I only take orders from Ben Blaine because I'm his personal nurse." Then he started on Jack and Yuri. "Well, what about you two?" I respectfully interrupted, "Sir, forgive my interruption, however, I might know what caused the damage to the BTR 80. He came over and imperially commanded, SGTS, help him to stand. I will not talk to a man who is sitting while I am forced to stand." They helped me up and the captain ordered, "Well, Sergeant, what is your explanation?" I was sure of myself as I speculated. "Sir, it appears the BTR 80 ran over multiple suicide vests and the weight of the vehicle caused the vests to detonate." He glared at me and challenged, "What is your proof, Sergeant?" I pointed and answered, "Sir, if I am not incorrect, aren't those fragments of suicide vest material under the destroyed wheels of the BTR 80? He commanded, "Sergeant Yuri, bring me a scrap of the material Sergeant Blaine is referencing." Jack continued to hold me up. Elena took Yuri's place as Yuri fetched a piece of the cloth. The captain looked at it, glared at me, and scoffed. "I am not sure of the basis for your analysis." I defended my proposed analysis. "Well, sir, if you were to examine the room we came from, you will see many scraps of cloth just like that. Since we witnessed the explosion, we are certain the scraps are from the many suicide bombers we eliminated." The captain commanded, "Leave Sergeant Blaine here. We will examine this room further." They sat me on the floor, and Elena came beside me, knelt, showed a lot of concern, and asked, "Ben, how do you feel?" I really felt like shit, not just emotionally but also physically. Cushioning Jack's landing broke a couple of my ribs, and it hurt like hell to breathe. In conformance with established SOP, I lied, "I feel fine." She glared at me and growled, "Ben, I can tell when you lie, so tell me the truth." I had just began to tell her the truth when, flashback, Jens, at the military hospital. I was devastated and could barely control my emotions. I couldn't believe that Evelyn snapped and beat me with a belt. Nurse Katie called the military police. They came and took Daddy and Evelyn out of my room. When they were gone, Katie came back in and questioned me. "Jennifer, has your mother done that often?" I took a moment to think and realized that what I said next could have huge repercussions which could profoundly change my life. I looked at Katie and answered, "Katie, I'm sorry you saw that, and I'm also sorry that you had to get involved. I know I'm just a kid, but I know enough that anything I tell you right now could be damaging to my daddy's career. So, I will not answer any questions about this until my daddy is present with our lawyer." Katie switched to obvious medical concern as she asked, "Does it hurt much?" I looked at her, fought very hard to control my emotions, and told the truth. It hurts very much, but not just physically. Flashback, Glenn, at the military hospital. I was angry as hell. What the hell is wrong with Evelyn? She had no right to beat Jennifer the way she did, and it was even worse that she implied there was improper behavior between Jennifer and me. Hell, I didn't want sex with Evelyn because she was drunk most of the time. Yeah, Evelyn had ruined sex for me because every time we started to have sex, I remembered the worst time she was drunk. We were going at it hot and heavy and, no, she didn't piss herself. It was worse. She shit herself. Even though I am a hardened Marine, the smell and the thought of that still nauseated me. The most unbelievable part was that she blamed me for the mess in the bed. And now, the few times she was halfway sober and wanted sex, she demanded that I take a dump first. Sadly, sex with Evelyn just wasn't worth it anymore. I glared at Evelyn as she smiled and slurred. "What's wrong, Glenn? You look like you're angry?" I couldn't hold back and I yelled, "What's wrong? You're the shit, what's wrong? Beating Jennifer the way you did was terrible, but that wasn't nearly as bad as the insinuation of something improper between Jennifer and me." Evelyn looked confused as she questioned, "Glenn, I have no idea what you were talking about." I was disgusted, shook my head and declared, "Evelyn, you're a mindless drunk again. Just keep your damn mouth shut and let me try to get us out of this mess." I had no sooner finished when the judge advocate, walked into the room. He smiled and reminded me of a shark ready for lunch and asked, "Do you mind if I take a seat?" I couldn't believe what the hell Evelyn said next. Flashback, Alexei, in the laboratory. I inwardly smiled as my plan was working well, perhaps even too well. I never realized how easy it was to infuriate the psychologist just by repeating what he said. I knew I was under constant observation, so I laid on the floor and mentally worked on the cryptex solution. I heard a noise, the door opened, and my parents walked in. With a concerned look on his face, Father questioned, "Alexei, how do you feel this morning?" I scrunched up my face in a goofy look and parroted, "Alexei, how do you feel this morning?" Mother's face was blanketed with annoyance as she complained, "Alexei, stop that right now." I kept the same look and once again parroted, "Alexei, stop that right now." Mother stamped her foot and yelled, "Right now?" I stood up, stamped my foot and yelled, "Right now?" She drew back her hand and threatened, "Stop that now? Right now?" I mimicked both action and words, "Stop that now? Right now?" The psychologist walked in, looked at Mother, and indicated the obvious. Physical violence will not correct this situation. I, of course, repeated his opinion. Physical violence will not correct this situation. He continued, "I think we need to examine your interactions with Alexei both inside the laboratory and at home." I confounded them all with my continued repetitions. "I think we need to examine your interactions with Alexei both inside the laboratory and at home." I ran to the bed, jumped on it, and began to jump up and down. Mother severely scolded me. "Alexei, stop that." I continued with the execution of my plan. "Alexei, stop that." Mother came over, grabbed my arm, and forced me to stop. I fell to the floor and did not move. Father questioned, "Alexei, are you okay?" This time I did nothing and totally ignored my father's pleas. The psychologist escorted my parents out of the room and remarked, "Yes, we must concentrate on what you two did to precipitate this mental breakdown." I had won a major battle and was sure I felt the same euphoria as my namesake, Alexander the Great. I was certain I recreated the euphoria he experienced when he won a great battle. Flashback, Mira, in Israel. I was incredibly incensed by the attack by the harem horde. My cardiac rate was higher than normal, my hands perspired, and I was certain my face was flushed. Naomi had falsified her vocalizations to me for the last time. I was not a bimbo whom they could beguile. Beguile me a single instance, and the dishonor was Naomi's. However, Naomi beguiled me more than once, so the dishonor became mine. As I left the area, I decided to locate Ira and Safia in hopes they might relieve the foreboding I felt. Flashback, Mira, Ira, and Safia, in Israel. I approached Ira and Safia from the posterior direction and immediately burst into mirth. Safia waddled in a manner mocking Naomi's behemoth man who was leading them. The trio turned, and the behemoth man remarked, "Oh good, the other twin is here. I assume you wish the same bequest as your sister?" I didn't trust him, so coyly answered, "That depends on the item for which my sister wished." Ira informed me. I requested a change of accoutrements. However, I question why you are here and in such a state of anger. I communicated my reply. Akim's harem attacked me, and I had to subdue them. Akim complained, "What has happened to my once wonderful harem? I hope you didn't permanently injure them." I further informed him, "Akim, your harem has been corrupted. Many of the women have become tribots." He looked confused and questioned, "What is a tribate?" Safia answered his question in her normal blunt manner, "A lezi, queer, you know, not straight." Akim's countenance became pale. He slumped to the floor and cried in despair, I am a failure. I attempted to console him. Akam, you are not a failure. Your body's hormones have been altered by your sham physician. Once I restore your hormone balance, you will lose your excessive weight and return to your previous stature. He stopped, looked at me, and questioned. My sister Mira changed tactics as she originally planned to only rectify a portion of Akam's hormones, but now it appears she has modified this to restore Akam totally to his former self. The attack greatly agitated my sister since she still bears the obvious, to me, effects of the battle, and I am certain this prompted the change. I prod, Akam, my sister and I still need a change of accoutrements. He looked at me and apologized. Yes, I forgot. He stood and stated, walk this way. As he waddled toward the deceased eunuch's rooms, Safia once again started to mimic his waddle until I gave her a stern look. I informed my sister, Mira, Safia has provided us with a new euphemism. Mira's eyes gleamed as she commented, Ira, it is unkind to withhold this information from my corporeal self. I smiled and stated euphemistically, no shit, Sherlock. I fought back laughter as my sister's face featured total discombobulation. She expressed her confusion. I do not understand. Akam showed some slight worth when he remarked with the enthusiasm of a small child, oh, I know this one. Please let me explain it. I affirmed with a nod and he expounded. No shit is an expression of amazement, and Sherlock was the world's greatest fictional detective, a creation of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Safia added, Sherlock Holmes used deductive reasoning to solve his cases. I'm surprised you two haven't heard about him. I replied, there are some areas where our education has been lacking. Akam offered, well, I have all of the Sherlock Holmes books in my library and you two are welcome to read them. We arrived at the supposed eunuch's quarters. Akam retrieved a set of keys from his pocket, attempted to unlock the door, then stated, I don't understand it. They must have changed the locks, but I didn't authorize it. I ordered, vacate the doorway. I will open the door. Akam pleaded, you won't destroy it? I informed him, certainly not. I will simply pick the lock. I removed my lock pick set from my bodice, retrieved the proper tools, and manipulated the lock. However, we were not prepared for what we discovered in the room. Flashback, Todd, on the island. I was in shock. I went from prisoner to lover in what seemed to be a single day. I certainly wasn't emotionally ready and surely didn't expect it. We rested in the warm glow of our embrace, then Lou sat upright, jumped out of bed, and motioned for me to get into my clothes. I started to dress, then I heard it too. We got into our clothes, then she grabbed her bow, quiver, blowgun, and a case. She handed me a bow and quiver, then we ran outside and into the forest. Present, Maria, in the equipment room. Who the hell does Liz Morgan think she is? Imagine her telling me what the hell to do and to back off on Ivan. I'm so pissed I'm seeing red. However, it does help me to make a decision. The next time that damn brat gives me any shit, I'm going to spank the hell out of him. I head back to my princess boss to check her wound. When I arrive, she takes one look at me and asks, Present, Jens, in the equipment room. Maria returns after she and Liz talked, and I can tell she's pissed off. Hell, her face is red, and if looks could kill, she would have done us all in. Since I can't really rest because of the pain, I decide to find out what is wrong. Maria, what the hell is wrong? She obviously lies to me. Jens, nothing is wrong. I think for a moment, and it finally dawns on me. Maria, I know you're pissed at Ivan, but I think you are overreacting. Maria gives me an even harsher glare and complains, Jens, I'm not overreacting. Everyone here is going gaga over Ivan when he's just a kid, and a spoiled one at that. Then she loudly continues, and to let you and everyone else know, you need to mind your own business and stop trying to tell me how to feel and act. Present, Liz, in the equipment room. Maria just yelled at Jens and the rest of us, and I've had my fill of her and her princess attitude. Yeah, she may call Jens the princess boss, but as far as I can see, the only princess in this room right now is Maria. I applaud and snidely comment, spoken just like the princess you are. Maria turns, glares at me and bristles. What the hell did you just call me? I sneer and taunt. I called you a princess as in Cinderella. So if the glass shoe fits, don't bother wearing it. Shove it up your anal retentive sphincter sideways. A very enraged Maria flies toward me, gets in my face and swears, take it back, bitch, or you will be sorry. Present, Jens, in the equipment room. Hell, Jack is right, the old fart. There's too much infighting between us because, and I hate to confirm it, there are too many women involved. Maria and Liz have squared off, and I need to do something about it, otherwise one or both of them will be hurt. I think quickly and decide to yell, oh. I watch them out of the corner of my eye as they both look toward me, and Maria says, you're lucky I have to take care of Jens, otherwise I'd mop the floor with that fat butt of yours. I thought we were out of the woods when Liz continues to fan the flames. My fat butt? What about yours? Your butt is so big that when you walked in front of the TV, we missed a whole season of our favorite shows. Maria jumped on Liz, and the fight was on. Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at the cabin. The SOB had messed with the wrong person this time. I was angry as hell. As the captain and Private haul me toward the new mess tent I order, I want that scumsucker found. If the drone can't find him, perhaps the Apaches can. Get them in the air, and then get me the backup wheelchair out of my disabled chopper. Present, Ben, at the cabin. I was elated at taking out scumsucker Mike's chopper and blowing the wheel completely off his fancy wheelchair. But now we needed to get the hell under cover, especially since I heard the Apaches start to spool up their engines. They weren't as dangerous as the drone because they only had FLIR, forward-looking infrared, imaging technology that senses infrared radiation. However, the pilots would probably be wearing NV goggles, night vision, different than FLIR because its image intensification technologies work on the principle of magnifying the amount of received photons from various natural sources, such as starlight or moonlight. And if they got lucky, they might actually see us. Destiny questions, Ben, where are we going? I answer, we need to get you underground while I tend to a few other things. She again challenges me, Ben, you aren't going to kill Mike. I interrupt her, not yet, but I am going to make him and the greenies rue the day they decided to come onto my property and mess with my friends. We get to the hidden location. I find the entrance, open the door, and order, climb down the ladder, and I will make sure the entrance is covered. I will be back before sunrise. Make yourself at home. There's food, water, lights, and probably even some booze. Destiny again complains. Ben, are you sure? I swear, hell yes, I'm sure. Now get inside and don't give me any more shit. I slam the entrance closed, make sure that things look good around the area, and begin to backtrack, wiping out our tracks as I leave. I get far enough away from the hidden entrance and begin to implement my plan. Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at the cabin. I've been drinking coffee in the new mess tent when the captain walks in and reports, Sir, we haven't had any luck finding Ben Blaine. I swear shit. Not even the Apaches can find him. He answers, No, sir. He must be using something to shield himself from the thermal on the drone and the FLIR on the Apaches. I question, how about the patrols? The captain has a negative report on this too. They haven't found any trace of their location. However, we did pick up their tracks several times, and our tracker says they are wearing Mickey boots, and one of them might be a woman because of the depth of those footprints. I'm still pissed about the scumsucker blowing the wheel off my good wheelchair as I consider the fact that he's with a woman and wearing the Mickey boots. I know he's doing that so he doesn't leave thermal footprints for the drone. Yeah, he's a smart scumsucker, but I am determined to capture him, or at least kill him. The coffee is going through me, so I order. I need to go to the head, and want 2 men to escort me. The captain responds like a good little tin soldier and orders, Men, accompany Mike to the head. I was glad I made them bring one wheelchair-accessible porta-potty along with the others. Otherwise, I would have been forced to have the privates help me into the head. I get settled in, clear my thoughts, and begin to think about things when, oh hell no. Present, Ben, at the cabin. Now that was more than satisfying. It was fun as hell, and it was all I could do to keep from laughing my butt off. Now to get back to the tunnel before sunrise. I take a different route this time, and I'm thankful I did since I spot a patrol out searching for me on the route I would normally use. I know where the hell they're headed. Hey, this is my property. So I beat feet to get ahead of them and set up a few surprises. While I'm in the area, I arrange for a few more surprises for any future patrols. Then I head back to the higher ground, get onto the rocks, and head toward the tunnel. I arrive above the tunnel, pause for a few moments, and scan the area to make sure there are no more patrols close. I open the entrance slightly and command, Destiny, kill any lights. Destiny replies, Ben, I heard you coming and I don't need any artificial light since I see fine in the dark. I drop inside as I hear evidence that my surprises for the patrol have been found. Then I challenge her, Are you trying to tell me you can see fine in here without artificial lights? She nonchalantly answers, Of course I can, but I know you can't. Destiny turns on the light and continues, Ben, what did you do? I begin to laugh. Destiny, you wouldn't believe it. I blew the hell out of their porta potties, with Mike settled in one of them. She asks, I hope he wasn't killed or injured. I continue laughing, not this time because I wanted to send him a message, so I only used flashbangs. I could have easily used satchel charges, and this would have been over. I also found they were sending patrols nearby, so I put flashbangs on many of the trails on my way back. Destiny smiles and comments, Ben, I am so proud that you didn't kill Mike, despite the temptation. I like the praise but then get serious and explain, it's not time yet. I want him and the greenies to suffer some more humiliation before I do that. How about you toss me an MRE and a heater? I want to eat and then get some sleep. I have some more plans for tomorrow night. Present, Jack, in prison at the cabin. Multiple flashbangs go off, then I hear someone swearing up a storm and smile. Ben's been busy. Masha is asleep and Linus questions, flashbangs? The swearing continues, and I answer, hell yes. I'm not sure what Ben did with them, but he sure as hell pissed someone off. Linus continues to ask, by using flashbangs? I answer, hell yes. Ben was sending a message to someone, probably Mike, that he could have killed him. I know for a fact Ben has high-power explosives hidden somewhere on his land, and he could have used those. Linus states, I wished he had. Then this would have been over. Even though I was certain she was sleeping, Masha comments. Ben is fighting a guerrilla war and wants to intimidate the special forces and send a message to Mike. Someone else in the tent asks, do you think he will come and release us? I answer, while I would like to believe that he would, my guess is that we're being used as bait and he won't fall for the trap unless he can distract most of the greenies. Linus looks around and says, Present, Linus, in prison at the cabin. I notice most of the Marines are awake and I decide to do something to boost their morale, so I ask, have you all heard the joke about the Pierre the French pilot? Jack moans, oh no, not another lame joke. The other men say, I don't think I've heard that one. Anything is better than sitting here freezing our butts off, so go ahead and tell it. I begin. Pierre, a daring French fighter pilot, takes his companion, Marie, out for a delightful picnic by the River Seine. The sun is shining, and there's a sense of romance in the air. Marie leans toward Pierre and says, Pierre, kiss me. With a grin, Pierre grabs a bottle of Merlot and splashes a little on Marie's lips. Pierre, what are you doing? Marie asks, surprised. Ah, Marie. Pierre declares proudly. I am Pierre, the famous French fighter pilot. When I enjoy red meat, I pair it with red wine. Marie laughs, and they continue their playful moment. As their embrace deepens, Marie whispers, Pierre, kiss me lower. Without hesitation, Pierre dramatically rips open her blouse, takes a bottle of Chardonnay, and pours it over her shoulders. Pierre, what are you doing? Marie exclaims, utterly bewildered. Pierre winks and proclaims, I am Pierre, the famous French fighter pilot. When I enjoy white meat, I pair it with white wine. They resume their passionate interlude, and things really steam up. Marie leans close to his ear and whispers, Pierre, kiss me lower. Our hero grabs a bottle of cognac and pours it in her lap. He then strikes a match and lights it on fire. Marie shrieks and dives into the river. Standing waist deep, Marie throws her arms to the heavens and screams furiously, Pierre, what in the hell do you think you're doing? Our hero stands up, defiantly, and says, I am Pierre, the famous French fighter pilot. When I go down in flames. I finish and look around while Jack complains, I tried to warn all of you about Linus jokes. There's a chorus of complaints. That was a lame joke. Hell, wouldn't a French pilot have to get up before they could go down? That last comment caused some laughter, and the men agreed. Hell yeah, I didn't know any of them to get up in the first place. Someone adds, have you heard of parkour? I state, isn't that those French guys that run around on buildings and such? He continues, that's right, it's the French martial arts system of running away. All the men in the tent start to laugh until, Present, Mike, formerly Major and then Captain M, at the cabin. I can't believe it. The scumsucker Ben rigged the porta-potty with explosives. I was finishing my business when it and all the other porta-potties exploded. I was covered from head to toe with shit. Even my backup wheelchair was covered with slime. The only good thing was that whatever he used wasn't powerful enough to kill or even injure me. Then reality struck. The scumsucker was toying with me like a cat toys with a mouse. Hell, if he wanted to kill me, I would already have been dead. The captain ran up and I swore, what the hell are your men doing? Ben infiltrated your base and rigged the porta-potties with explosives. I demand you find him immediately. The captain reports, sir, he didn't just rig the porta-potties. Our patrols have encountered a huge number of flashbang traps. The only way we know they are flashbangs is because we were lucky and found one before we tripped it. I swear. Captain, daylight is coming and I want him and whoever he's with found. The rules of engagement are changed. Ben and anyone helping him are to be treated as terrors. The captain tries to clarify my order. Sir, are you saying we can now fire on him? I smile and confirm, yes, Captain, that's exactly what I mean. Now, I'm going to take one of the Chinooks back to my hotel and get cleaned up. Make sure to tell the Predator commander he is now weapons free. The captain waffles, sir, I would feel better if you issue that order. I swear in response, damn. Okay, I will give the order. You just make sure you find him. If Ben wanted to play hardball, I would show him hardball. I finally get to the Chinook, get loaded and strapped down. The pilot begins to fire it up, and, oh hell no. Present, Mira and Alex, at the cache. My tympanic units detect multiple bang flashes, then a large burst of blasphemy. I am certain the vocalizations have emanated from Mike, and I inwardly smile. My Ben has been busy this night. I am amazingly annoyed at Alexei and even more perturbed at that female Saluki news reporter. I begin the attempt to dispel Alexei's falsehood about my corporeal self being jealous of Samantha when we get a surprise. Ira has returned from the domain of the comatose and questions, "Who is this Samantha of whom Mira is jealous?" I vociferously and futilely complain, "Ira, I am not jealous." Alexei counter-chides, "Ira, it is propitious that you are awake. How do you feel?" And yes, Mira is jealous of the cute Truth Network reporter, Samantha Stevens. Ira responds, "Alexei, I am exultant to be alive." Mira, "Did Alexei have carnal relations with this personage?" Alexei states, "Not yet. However, I wouldn't mind the opportunity." I reply in triumph, "I rest my case." Then we are surprised. Present, Samantha and Stacy, at the cache. After we are refused entrance to the morgue, I am extremely frustrated and come up with a great idea. We walk back to the area which houses the twins and Alexei. I walk closer to them and state, "Stacy and I are turning off the cameras mounted in our glasses. After this is done, I would like to ask you a few questions, strictly off the record." I notice the other twin is awake and she states, "You must be Samantha Stevens." I affirm, "Yes, I am Samantha and this is Stacy Summers." The new twin makes me uncomfortable when she looks me over, as if she is inspecting a side of beef and comments, "Yes, Alexei, now I understand your position." Returning to me, she says, "Please provide your interrogatory." I continue, "We were led to believe that many Marines were wounded in a large battle here. However, you four seem to be the only patients in the hospital. Do you have any ideas as to what happened to the wounded Marines?" Alexei says, "I was not aware of that factoid. My sisters, I need to investigate this abnormality." I question, "Do you mind if I accompany you?" Alexei smiles and agrees, "That would be superb." "My sister Mira, will you be able to defend Ira and Todd?" The other twin, who I now know as Mira, states, "Yes, Alexei. I am adequately recovered to perform my duty." The second twin states, "Good hunting, Alexei," and winks at him. We begin to check the rest of the hospital, and I question, "Alexei, what did your sister mean by that comment?" Alexei answers, "It is our version of saying good luck." I'm not sure about this game Samantha is playing with Alexei and his sisters. It's a dangerous game and also distracts from my plan about meeting up with Ben again. I was concerned that the twins would know that Ben and I spent some time together, but amazingly they don't seem to know this fact. If they did, I am sure I would become a target for them. I decide that whenever we leave the confines of our base, I need to bring more men with us for protection. It's eerie as we walk through the empty hospital and Alexei comments, "Samantha, your analysis is correct. There are no other patients in the hospital." Samantha answers, "I have a theory they are all in the morgue. However, there was an armed guard, and we couldn't gain access to it." Alexei brags, "An armed guard shouldn't be an issue. Let me discuss this with my sisters, and I am sure we can gain access to the morgue." I tell Samantha, "We need to check on the engineer and how the work is proceeding to open the tunnels. Then we need to get back to our camp." Thank God Samantha agrees. "Yes, Stacy, you're right. I'll see you tomorrow, Alexei." He fawns all over her. "That will be my pleasure." We leave and I complain, "Samantha, I warned you about flirting with him." She ignores me and counters, "Stacy, I think you're worried about nothing." We walk outside and hear another flashbang explode, but this one sounds different, sort of like it's in a well. Then several more explode with the same strange sound. Bill runs up and says, "Thank God you two are okay." I reply, "Why wouldn't we be?" Bill states, "Ben just blew the hell out of the porta potties with Mike in one of them, and now he's disabled the Chinooks with flashbangs in the engines. I was concerned he'd attack you next." I inform, "Bill, I am safer here than anywhere. Ben would never attack me." He complains, "Well, he sure as hell is attacking my old company, and I'm pissed as hell about it." I laugh. "Yeah, well, first look at what your old company is doing. They've invaded his property, detained and killed the Marines that were here helping Jennifer Donaldson, and declared martial law. Hell, you all are lucky he hasn't killed anyone yet. In fact, it's not like Ben to approach a battle like this without running up casualties. I'm surprised he hasn't killed all of them and decided let God choose those he wants to keep." Bill scoffs, "Stacy, he's not that good." I think for a moment about what has transpired, then get pissed off and order, "By the way, Bill, you need to get your head out of your butt and decide where your loyalties lie. With me or with your old company? If it's with me, then our priorities are much different than those of your old company." Present, Zarika and Yasmin escape. I make it into the parking lot for 7-Eleven, but not without upsetting many drivers. Yasmin doesn't help because she shows them her bad fingers. I pull up and park without hitting anything, and then, well, a funny-looking car with huge wheels and tires pulls up beside us with the stereo playing some sort of rap song. 4 big angry-looking Nubian men exit the car and move toward the ugly van. I remark, "Yasmin, I think you made these men angry." Yasmin counters, Zarika, you are the one that almost hit their car. They walk up to the car, and one yells, "What a damn hell done did ya honky bitches think ya was doing?" Yasmin looks at me and says, "Zarika, let me handle this." I worry for her as she steps out of the van and says, "Why you is getting in our faces, dogs?" One of the men answers, "Who ya be callin' dog crack a bitch?" Yasmin counters, "Who ya callin' crack a bitch? Yous must think you re bad gangsta rap was." The first man answers, "That's right, crack a hoe." Then Yasmin does something very surprising. Present, Byron, Tom, and Inga. It's raining hell on the narcotic lord. After the recon team joins Tom and Inga, and while they begin to kill the narcotic lord's men exfiltrating the building, I notice something and calm. Guys, you might want to back away from the building. I think it could explode." Tom questions, "Byron, what the hell are you talking about?" I inform them, "Tom, the fire has reached the propane tank, and it's just a matter of time until the whole place goes up." Tom calms, "Let's move back to a safe distance." The team leader counters, "Who the hell are you to give us orders?" I complain, "Listen, you shithead, move back or become a casualty." They move back just in time as the propane tank erupts in a huge fireball. Shit, Byron saved my butt again. I'm not sure how many times this has happened. The building explodes and throws debris everywhere. There's acrid smoke in the air, and once it clears, it's apparent there's nothing left of the building. I calm, "Thanks, Byron. I owe you one." Inga calms, "Yes, I also am in your debt, Byron." The team leader orders, "Come on, we need to find the narcotic lord." I give Inga hand signals. Tom uses hand signals, ordering us to hold our position. However, he does not realize that was my current plan. To rush in while the building is still engulfed in flames constitutes a fool's errand. If the narcotic lord is still here, he is certainly not hiding in this building. I use hand signals to communicate with Tom, and we proceed in a different direction. Dear listeners, next part of the story will be released soon. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.